Mic check, mic check. What's going on, everybody? We are here today with round two of the Fani Willis Georgia debacle. Yesterday was an explosive day, people. Yesterday was an explosive day. Who I got? Who's my chat creatures up in here? Yo, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. That's right, Tech to help us. How you doing, Jonathan? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Wow. Let's get it on. Oh, somebody said yesterday was good. Yeah, yesterday was insane. Yesterday was crazy. Oh my God, was yesterday crazy. I It was one of those things you just don't expect. You like, and she came in so crazed, right? She was, oh. Yeah, she knew she was in trouble yesterday. I love how everybody's trying to spin it though for their side. Like the Dems, they trying to spin it, but there's nothing spinning this. She's in trouble. Let's go, baby. Hmm. What's going on from PA? Allentown. I know Allentown. What's going on? Allentown, PA. All right, they're about to start up in a couple of minutes. Let me see what's going on. Let me see. I'm looking at the feed right now. Everybody's doing their pre-stuff. But this testimony. Hold on. Let me put this on. Okay, so this one is not. I'm just trying to look just to see what's going on. That's right now, but they still haven't put up the live feed. Wow, everybody is like live right now. Everybody is live trying to get up on this Fani Willis thing. You ready? You ready? DJ, oh yeah, I got your email yesterday. I'm going to be emailing you back. Thank you so much. And look, the stuff looks great too. The leather. Oh man. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to be taking on your offer. Thank you so much. TJM. Oh, Allentown. Allentown. I love Allentown. Allentown, PA. PA. Even though I'm not from PA. Break the news. Well, we will see. So let me see. So let's see what's going on. All right. So we got a couple of options here. Yesterday's feed wasn't really that great, but we're gonna try one more time. They have the 11 alive. So let me show you what's going on with the feed right now. Screen share before I do my little quick recap of what happened yesterday. Hold on. Recap. Where we at? We're right here. Boom, share that. Oops, the wrong thing. But let me see this. Good morning, Nate. Thanks for 2 days of live streaming. Yes, you guys know I'm usually not a live streamer, but Louisiana checking in. What's going on? Yeah, but you know, today's day two. Day two. See, I got my gallon of coffee here because that's just how we roll. All right. So let me see the feed. All right. So this is the feed. Let me put this on screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. On screen. Here we go. So this is the feed, and let me blow it up so we can all see what's going on. So there's nothing happening right now. I got the audio ready, so we ready. All right. So let's talk about yesterday, so we can just get through this, right? So yesterday, the defense had to come up with why they wanted to have Fani Willis disqualified. You can't just make shit up. You got to have what's known as a good faith basis to just, so I can say whatever about you, right? But I got to have a good faith basis. Thank you so much, Isaiah, for the super chat. You got to have a good faith basis. What the hell does that mean? That means I got to have some witness or someone that's going to say, under oath, as God is my witness, this is what's going on. So the defense had that. They had Fani Willis's former best friend, the homegirl who she moved in with. They had her come to the stand and say, as God is my witness, she was banging this other guy back in 2019. That was her testimony. So now, since they had that testimony, it did two things. It showed that Willis had to be lying. Somebody had to be lying because Willis and her boyfriend had both said that the relationship didn't start till 2022. But that's now we have a live witness who's friends with, who doesn't have any reason to lie, saying that's BS. They were dating 2 or 3 years before that. So After she went on and gave her testimony, then the state, which is Willis represents, tried to tear her down. Oh, she was fired from the DA's office. All right. So then that gave the state, that gave the judge enough to say, okay, we can call Nathan Wade because we got a witness saying that he's lying about everything. So he got up there to clear things up. Thank you for the $4.99, Zach. Do you think they'll subpoena her and ask him if he really thought her always have 6 months worth of pay? Oh yeah. They're going to ask her that because you get redirect. So I think they're going to ask about the whole 6 month thing. And plus, now you've had a day to kind of think about all those answers. Because if you're a good lawyer, you go back there and you're like, all those crazy answers she gave. Let's figure out if this is really like, that's what I would do. I'd be going back there and be like, yo, she said this. She keeps 6 months worth of cash and all. Yeah, we can ask her about that. Yeah, we're gonna have that. This is great. All the lawyers are streaming like back-to-back days with death. Yeah, it is. It's like the death trial. This is like the death trial. Fani, too damn hostile, needs to be treated as such. Yes. I think the judge gave her too much liberty yesterday, but it's the DA. It's the sitting DA, so you got to give her a little play, right? It's the sitting DA, but I think you're right. He gave her way too much things. So anyway, back to the story. So Wade got up there and Wade, said, it happened. Really, Wade said there were a couple of missions there that I think people missed. Wade admitted he lied, but he gave it context. His lie was that he believed his marriage, because the question was, did he sleep with anybody during his marriage? He says no, but that's just not true. He did sleep with someone. He slept with Fani Willis, but he says his marriage really ended in 2015 versus 2021. So he's saying that our marriage ended in 2015, even though I was banging her and all that stuff later, but my marriage ended in 2015, which on the face of it didn't make any sense, which is like, all right, it didn't, did it really end in, just because you stopped, essentially he said he stopped sleeping with his wife and stuff back then, but it was all BS. It was all BS. Let me see. Is this feed? Because I had 2 feeds up. Let me see. Do they get the court feed up?
Herself. Threats have only grown.
It's Kamala Harris. So there's nothing to worry about the privilege stuff. So they still talking about the stuff from yesterday. But anyway, let me get back to the recap. So Fani and this guy, they said, it's almost like a mob boss type thing. I don't know if you guys, like, when you do mob cases and stuff, that's what the mafia always says. Yeah, I paid him back. And they'll be like, how'd you pay him back? And it's like, well, we paid him back in cash. And like, you paid him back in cash. Well, how the hell did you pay him back in cash?
Your relation.
There is no, what are you talking about? How the hell did you pay him back in cash? So it's weird to know that these professionals, they know how to get around all this. They know how to get around the cash thing, but
Morning, Your Honor, Andrew.
They still set they it's almost like she's a mob boss. So here it is. Let me go to the feed so we can start seeing it. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Evans for Nathan Wade.
Here we go.
All right. And beginning with from the order of on the notice, with former President Trump.
Morning, Your Honor. Steve Sadow and Jennifer Little.
So these Trump. We're hearing now. These are appearances.
Thank you, Mr. Sadow. On behalf of Mr. Giuliani.
Alan Stott for Mr. Giuliani. He waives his presence.
Mr. Meadows.
Your Honor, Jim Durham.
So we're hearing now. These are just appearances for the attorneys. You got to say who's there, who you're representing, that type of thing. I also want to note 2 things: the whole pay in cash thing, because now this whole case is what I'm calling a credibility case. I'm going to answer your super chat in a second. This whole case comes down to credibility. Who do you believe? Do you believe Willis and Wade's explanation that they paid each other in tens of thousands of dollars in cash, that there's no receipts for anything, and that you could just trust them to believe that they're doing the right thing? Or do you believe the witness who said their relationship started earlier? So the judge has to weigh that credibility, and whoever thinks he has the best credibility is who's going to win this case. So I just need to make sure. So this is all about credibility.
He waives his presence.
Mr. Schaefer.
Morning, Your Honor. Craig Gillen and Anthony Lake for Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer is present in court today.
All right. And Mr. Floyd.
Oh, let me get the live feed. Sorry.
his allegations that their relationship was a conflict of interest and they should be disqualified from Georgia's election interference case
Everything is
against former
still, we're
President
still
Donald
waiting for
Trump and his
everything.
co-defendants.
You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial.
You're in studio this morning, Emory law professor. So, John, please tell us more about watching this testimony yesterday from DA Fani Willis.
So everybody's going over the testimony. I'm trying to look for everybody's going over the hot trial yesterday. Let me answer some of these questions. I want the ex-wife to say it was not over. Oh yeah, they were sleeping together. It wasn't over. You know, she's full of shit. It's all lies. It's all lies. Thanks for the last coverage. Attributes of BS. That someone wouldn't be allowed. The defendant. She was BS that she wouldn't be allowed from a defendant. She was prosecuted. Shaking my head. I honestly think if there's more of an appearance here. I think there's a high appearance of impropriety here, and I think that's the only thing you really have to show.
But you never know.
It's like, okay, even in that situation, what's the judge going to do? Because don't forget, the judge still has to work with these people. I think people forget, like I was a DA. I work with the same judges all the time, right? Week after week, after day after day. I'm there all the time. They're there all the time. So you build a relationship. So you don't want to, because she's still going to be the DA after, no matter what happens here.
The judge will
and you're
have
still
to
going
make
to
a decision
have to work with
here
these
about-
people.
It's
You know,
mostly because the judges.
so I think a lot of people don't understand that. I know. I'm looking at the feed. I'm trying to see. None of the feeds have them starting as of yet. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Yesterday, the sound.
I got it now. They are on.
Was going to decline to answer any questions at all in relation to communications, or observations, or anything, be it independent source or otherwise, that took place during the time of the alleged attorney-client privilege relationship, which is 2015, I think, until the present. I understood that as referencing not simply attorney-client privilege communications, but what we commonly refer to under 1.6 as confidences and secrets, which are not covered by the attorney-client privilege and are not barred from testimony or evidence.
So I'm gonna turn this down just so we can understand what's going on now. Yesterday, the attorney for Wade's divorce attorney, he made the argument that he couldn't testify because the information Wade had given him was in furtherance of legal advice. But not all communications between you and your attorney are privileged. So the argument was, well, which communications are privileged and which communications are not. Now, when Wade's lawyer got on the stand, he specifically said that he was inserting not the privilege, the attorney-client privilege, but a confidentiality privilege. Now, as an attorney, if you come to me and say, hey, Nate, I got this case, and with this case, I need you to evaluate to see if you can take my case. And if I say, no, I'm not taking your case, I can't then go and tell everybody about what you just told me. I have a duty of confidentiality. So, but that doesn't extend to court. So that's what the judges has to determine now. Does that extend to court?
And it does seem that there is a distinction between the two. One is not covered by the evidentiary privilege, and pulling the case of Tenet Healthcare Corp. 273 Georgia 206.
Now that means this lawyer
Supreme Court doesn't make that
testify
distinction. So
about the confidential
to that end,
stuff.
Mr. Evans, as we work through these issues, I would say that when Mr. Bradley takes the stand, I would be directing him to respond and be responsive to any questioning that may be covered by Rule 1.6. That would be the order of this court, but that still reserves the issue of attorney-client privilege.
Stephen, I'm explaining what they're talking about. So
as you're reviewing those questions, we'll keep that in mind, and I'll be interested to hear your response.
So the judge is saying he must testify about the stuff he deems
Anything
confidential.
else you think we should clarify before we take a break to look at the questions?
Is attorney-client
Do you have
privilege.
a copy for me?
Yes, I do. A copy of the questions, Judge, and I also have copies of there's the exhibit that I would be filing. Would you like that as well? I just took those.
So I haven't checked the filing. You say you want to file it?
No, that I'm going to use Mr. Bradley's testimony. I think that would help, but we can wait and I can use it after the question that I gave Mr. Bradley. Thank you, Judge.
didn't intro.
All right, and counsel for Mr. Bradley, I'm sorry, can I get your name one more time?
Because she's the sitting DA. They're not going to do
Mr.
that
Ward?
to the sitting DA.
Okay.
I know how
All
you
right,
guys
Mr. Ward,
feel,
if we
but
could get some regular updates of where he is and how he is progressing towards the courtroom. And then when everyone has had a chance to read these questions in the interim, let me know and we can take this up. Mr. McDougal.
I have a text message from one of Mr. Floyd's lawyers that he's logged in on the Zoom conference. Your Honor.
Okay. Is someone joining us by, thank you. Is someone joining us by Zoom that wants to appear for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. Chris Kachuroff for Mr. Floyd.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kachuroff. And I think we had a legal assistant here announcing on Mr. Floyd's behalf, but I think it would be better to have counsel of record. Any announcement in terms of Mr. Floyd's presence this afternoon, or excuse me, today?
I know people are saying, why didn't they treat her as a hostile witness? But they're not going to treat her as a hostile. They're not going to.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I don't understand. Did you ask a question?
Yes, sir. So Mr. Floyd joined us yesterday, but I do not see him here today. Do you have an announcement about his presence for today's hearing?
He will not be present, Your Honor.
All right.
We would waive his presence.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. All right. We'll be in recess until I hear from the parties.
Thank you.
All right. So they're in recess right now. So the big issue now, so there are a couple of issues now that are going on. So the big issue now is Fani Willis has just testified the relationship started in 2022. Nathan Wade testified the relationship started in 2022. But now you have Fani Willis's friend saying the relationship started in 2019. There's also one other person who could testify to when the relationship started, and that's Wade's defense attorney. So Wade's Wade's divorce attorney. Let me be very clear. Wade's divorce attorney. He was on the stand yesterday. He was the first person to take the stand, if you guys remember. So Wade's divorce attorney, his issue is that he's saying anything Wade told me is covered under attorney-client privilege. So people are like, okay, well, but that's not true, because let's say if me and my attorney go to a bar and we have drinks, all the stuff that we talk about at the bar isn't attorney-client privilege, right? We're talking as friends. So there's limited stuff that's attorney-client privilege and not. Wade's attorney yesterday said, well, he called the bar association, and the bar association said, no matter, everything he told you is confidential, so you can't testify to anything. But the fact that it's confidential doesn't mean it's privileged. See, privilege means you can't testify to it. Confidentiality means you can. So the judge now has just had a case and said, hey, you know what? He can testify under the stuff that's confidential. So the stuff like when the relationship started between him and Fani, that's not attorney-client. That may be confidential. So what he's asked the lawyers to do, he said, I need you guys to write your questions out so I can see what those questions are, if they'll elicit things that will violate attorney-client privilege. So obviously the questions they're going to be asking is when the relationship started, that type of thing. And then the judge is going to determine whether he can ask, whether they can ask Wade's defense, divorce attorney, those questions. And now, so that's what we're doing now. That's where you have the recess, because he wants to see the questions beforehand, which makes sense. I don't know. Fani Willis is supposed to be testifying this morning, and her testimony this morning is supposed to be for her essentially cross-examination by the state, but they could also waive that. So we'll see. So I don't know if they're going to waive that, because the good thing about them waiving their cross, because I think she did as much damage she could do yesterday. If they waive it, and they say we're not, no questions, Your Honor, then essentially the other side can't redirect her on anything. They can recall her as a witness, but they can't really redirect her on anything. So that could also happen too, which may be the smart thing to do to stop her from testifying, because she was a disaster yesterday. They already waived it. All right. They waived their cross. There it was. Yeah. So Nate the Warrior, they waived it before we came in. All right, cool. So that means Fanny's done. Even this thing then, Fani, blah, blah, blah. But now, since we got a break, you know what? It allows me to look at the other lawyers. I'm now going to go look at my other lawyer friends and see what the hell they doing during the break. All right. So first, you know what? Let me look at Good Logic. Here's Good Logic. Good Logic, Joe. Share this feed. All right. So Joe is looking for a feed. Joe.
I don't know what NTD is.
Joe's scrambling looking for a feed. Good logic.
This is the Guardian. I don't know how good their feed is.
Let me look at Viva.
I feel like I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing.
All right, here's my boy Viva.
When I was a young lawyer and I had the propensity to talk fast, and you think you're going to rattle stuff
young
off
lawyer
to the
talking
judge, and
fast.
I'm there with my mentor. I won't mention his name because he might get canceled.
I got a good feed.
Association. No, I'm joking. And I finished my pleading and I sit down like, yeah, I nailed it. And then my mentor
everybody got to do this filling time. See, my fill time is watching them.
I didn't notice that. If the judge puts down his pen, he's not taking notes. He's not processing anything that you're saying anymore. And
I'm sure this what. Let me look to see what's going on with uncivil law. Uncivil law usually has good stuff to say. I'm just seeing who's saying what. Let me see. Watch it from work. See you tomorrow, bro. Yeah, we just Op-Ed Fred, what's up, brother? we just waiting for the judge to rule on these questions, and then we're gonna go into it. Let me look at my boy uncivil law. He's behind.
Standby.
Here's our boy uncivil law.
So your position has changed since yesterday?
Well, based on the
He's watching the earlier stuff.
They may have rebuttal evidence, but they didn't give us that, so I don't know what that is. So in rebuttal, if they present something in rebuttal that I need to call her to talk about, then I.
We're waiting for it
as it comes up. What else? Anything else, Ms. Cross?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Merchant.
I know that we're still in the middle of Ms. Willis, but we need to address some of the things that were said yesterday in court in regards to Mr. Bradley, privilege, things like that. Do you want to do that now, or would you rather do that before Mr. Bradley?
When you say address them, what do you mean?
Well, there's a couple different issues, but we've got the privilege issue is one of them. But I also
Uncivil's watching the earlier stuff from earlier.
I thought I could get those two in the court.
We already know what's going on with the privilege issues, so
we didn't have to worry about the privilege stuff. There were some allegations made. I had a transcript made of the proceeding yesterday.
So at least we know. So now it's just a waiting game. You know what? I want to ask you guys this. I want you guys to listen to this take I heard yesterday. I'm just here for the women's soccer update. Oh, the women's soccer stuff was great. I want you to hear this take yesterday, and I'm going to ask you guys because it's so crazy how politics just makes your mind go crazy. Check this out. So this is a take yesterday about what we saw yesterday. For those of you who were here yesterday, thanks to number one, thank you for being here. And number two, take out this media. This was a take from yesterday that I heard, and I was like, "Yo, what the hell?" I was like, "This is kind of ridiculous." Unfortunately, Viva looks like an older Hassan. When you get to that streaming life, let me see if I can find this because this is yesterday I was watching because I like to watch the politicals talk about it, like hey, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What do you think about this? So I was looking at it, and I want you to. We're going to look at this video while we're still on break. Is there a viewpoint that may oppose yours that we can see? That's exactly what I'm about to show you. That's exactly what I'm about to show you. You see, I'm on point right now. Why doesn't Nick stream trials anymore? I don't know. That's strange. I don't know why Nick doesn't stream trials anymore. That's a good question. But here's the viewpoint that's opposite to mine because I think these people are a little insane. So this is which channel is this? This is Media Touch. All right. So just to let people know, this is an extreme left-wing channel. These extreme left-wing. So they are whatever happens is good on the left-wing side. So we're gonna listen to their take, which is interesting.
I would ask. I need 3 documents in front of me, and they're the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant. Does anyone have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant? Does the court have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant?
If you want to take a break to get them, I can make a copy.
Wade got paid. We got played. I like it. I hear it.
You may have taken one, Mr. Wade.
Nice.
Well, no. Look, I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020.
Judge McAfee, who is overseeing the Georgia election case against Trump, allowed Trump and his co-defendant extraordinary leeway in the questioning of the district attorney, Fani Willis, and one of her special prosecutors, Nathan Wade, on the stand. The fact that they were even on the stand was surprising. An affidavit, a document done under penalty of perjury, had already been filed by them stating the nature and timing of their relationship and how they shared finances between them. It was more than enough information for the judge to rule on the conflict of interest.
Now, just so we can be clear about why she's being deceptive, that wasn't enough, right? And the reason why it wasn't enough is because we had 2 live witnesses that said they were lying in those things, right? We had a live witness, her friend, saying what they said in that affidavit was a lie. We had records saying what they're saying when that affidavit wasn't true. So that's the reason why the judge said we're going to have testimony, right? The defendant had to bring up the witness, and the witness got on the stand and said, when the relationship started, 2019, in their affidavits, that even that, and remember, the point that I think that obviously she's not going to say, but Wade has even admitted that what he said in those affidavits were untrue, right? Because remember, he was like, my marriage really ended in 2015, even though it did officially into 2020. So when I said it, I was really thinking about something. No, that was Wade's, in other words, I lied, but I really didn't lie. She's saying the judge improperly forced them to testify. But listen to it. We'll continue to go on.
Issue. But Judge McAfee, who was appointed as recently as 2 years ago, went out of his way to appear impartial and not only scheduled the hearing, but gave the defense attorneys wide leeway in their questioning. This does not bode well.
Now, yesterday when we were here, the judge was like, I don't want to hear that question. That question is he was very protective of Fani Willis. But again, this is extremely left wing here, so it doesn't, for them it doesn't matter, right? If anything that doesn't suit that in particular, and I'll watch a right wing channel. This is the exact opposite. But this is what she's saying. But listen to how she's characterizing everything we saw from yesterday. Listen to how I don't want to say confusing it is. Listen to how dishonest it is, because it's very dishonest. Nate, love your stream, Nate the lawyer. I'm just saying, Forbes breaking news has a great video quality and sound. Just for all right, you know what? I was using Forbes yesterday. I'll check them out because I have MSNBC right now. So, but I'll check out Forbes. Let's continue on with this. Now listen to the
what the trial will look like. That's the thing. Trump always argues that he is receiving special treatment and being prosecuted against. But the fact is that he is given so much more latitude than a typical defendant. There is no way a criminal defendant would have been able to get the district attorney prosecuting his case on the stand to question the sharing of payments regarding personal private trips.
Now, just so we understand, Fani Willis wanted to testify, right? She went there and the judge was like, hold up. I haven't decided whether you had to testify or not. The judge said, are you sure? She said, no, I waive it. I want to get on the stand. I want to tell my truth. But she's making it seem to those millions of people, there's millions of people who watch this channel. She's making it seem like the judge, you must testify. That didn't happen. That absolutely did not happen. But it's the characterization of it, right? This is what the judge forced her to do. This is out saying Trump is getting favorable treatment. No, not at all. She said she wanted to testify. And the personal private payments are public funds being siphoned, because that's the scheme here, right? The scheme here that the judge is looking into is that whether the DA was siphoning public funds through Wade so she can benefit. I give you $10,000. I pay you $10,000 for work. You go cut the check and give me $5,000 and we go on trips, right? That's the scheme here. That's a scheme that is illegal no matter where you're at. But she doesn't want to realize it. But again, like I said, she has a narrative she has to put forward. But it's so dishonest to say that the judge forced Fani Willis to testify. He didn't. We all saw. We were all here. We all saw what happened. The judge didn't force her to testify. She wanted to testify. She waived. She said, I want to speak my truth. Enjoy your breakdown of coverage. Listen to all day yesterday. And the player was the same today. Can any of these items uncovered be used in other cases? Yes. And I think they will. I think the RICO case may because again, when you're talking about, hey, I'm paying everybody in cash, and then the RICO case for YSL, she's going to be arguing that nobody pays in cash, but they're going to no, the DA pays in cash. Any mob, anything related like that. If I'm a defense attorney, I'm going to be like, hey, of course he paid $10,000 in cash. The DA is paying people in cash, that can't be traced or anything. So of course, yeah, we're good. Nate, can you clip something up for my dad? Question: if they disqualify Fani in the case, why can't they just assign another prosecutor from Fulton? Okay, so this is a very good question. Let me break this down. So in Fulton County, there's one lawyer who represents the people. That's why when you get sued, it's usually the people versus the people of the state of Georgia versus X, the people of the state of New York versus X, because the district attorney is elected to represent the people. That's only one attorney who represents everybody. For the federal government, that one attorney that represents everyone is called the Attorney General. That one attorney represents all the people of the United States in all legal matters. And the same thing in Fulton County. They elect one attorney to represent all the people. So if Fani Willis, what she does as that one attorney who has that power to do it, she says, okay, I'm going to hire people who can help me prosecute these thousands of cases that we have. So they hire assistant district attorneys or even deputy district attorneys. Now, their authority to prosecute anything only comes from Fani Willis because she authorizes them to do it. Now, if Fani Willis is disqualified, then all those people that she's authorized to do cases are also disqualified because they don't have any authority to it without Fani. So what the judge will have to do is either do one or two things. Now, this happened in the Justice Smollett case. Either he has to kind of deputize some other attorney to give him the power to prosecute this one case and represent the people, or they can ship it to another district attorney who is already authorized by statute to represent the people in this case. So that's why if Fani is disqualified, all the attorneys or the district attorneys under Fani Willis in Fulton County would be disqualified. So, and for reference, this is what happened with the Justice Smollett case. When Kim Foxx was disqualified, she was the district attorney, so that whole office was disqualified, and they brought in another attorney separate from that office, a private attorney, paid him thousands of dollars to prosecute Justice Smollett. So that's a very good question. Can you guarantee lied about watching testimony and hearing prior testimony? I guarantee lied. I think guarantee he lied. Oh, I think you mean she lied, right? Yeah, I guarantee she lied. Yeah, I think Fani watched the previous testimony. I think it's clear she did. She did. She watched it. That's what she ran inside there like a maniac. Morning, Nate. The lady is giving me a headache with her. Fani was forced to testify. Listen. I'm just playing it for you. You guys we'll listen to it together. We'll listen to it. Hey, Nate, Fani claiming and admitting that she kept large sums of cash at home. Could it open? Of course, it opens the IRS. Yeah. And of course. If there's any justice in the world, that's the first thing you look at. She's keeping tens of thousands of dollars in cash, unreported, and not only keeping cash, but she's paying people off, right? She's paying people off. All this extra money going around. It's crazy. Op-Ed Fred. Looks like she was receiving kickbacks. It could be. That I don't want to say it, but if especially if I'm getting tens of thousands of dollars in cash, it's crazy. But let's listen to
it. Just wouldn't happen. Judge would have ruled based on the facts given to him in the affidavit because he had more than enough facts to decide whether a conflict occurred.
Now, listen to what she just said. The judge had more than enough to rule on the facts in the affidavit. But she fails to tell you that those facts in the affidavit, I'm going to just make sure, may have been false. How do we know they may have been false? Because we have a live witness that comes up and said, hey, under oath, I swear to tell the truth, as God is my witness, said, hey, guess what? I was her friend, and the stuff they said in an affidavit was false. That's the reason why he couldn't just rule on the affidavit. Generally, if that's all you got, the affidavit, you can say, okay, I got nothing else. The affidavit, I got to accept the affidavit is true. But since now you got two live witnesses, his attorney and his friend, then guess what? You don't have enough because the affidavits are in question. That's what, and this is an attorney. This is an attorney who's telling you this.
Remember, it's not so much whether they had a personal relationship.
True.
It is not unethical for prosecutors working on a case together to have a relationship. It's not even whether he was hired because of that relationship, because otherwise the defendants would be making the strange argument that she hired somebody less qualified to prosecute them because of their relationship. Strange, because defendants, you would think, would benefit from hiring somebody less qualified to benefit them. So no, the question is whether she is profiting from hiring him, and that this somehow incentivized her to prolong the case against them.
Correct.
So even if you believe that the defendant's theory that Fani Willis didn't reimburse Nathan Wade her share of their joint personal expenses on trips and dinners,
Yes, I do not
it is
believe
a stretch to think she is prosecuting this case so her boyfriend can pay her share.
All right. See, and now this is the point. Now this is why I think when you go hard left wing, that kind of the nonsense doesn't matter. Like any objectivity kind of goes out the window. The issue here, remember, it's not about whether there is an impropriety, right? There may or may not be, but in law, it's about the appearance of an impropriety. Now, if I have a DA saying she's getting tens of thousands of dollars in cash from her boyfriend that she hired, who's not qualified from the case, that makes me think there's an appearance of impropriety, an appearance that she's getting kickbacks from her boyfriend, right? That's what we're talking about. But again, if you're extremely left wing, you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, this is nonsense, but not understanding, because again, they don't want to give you the details, because if they give you the details, you'll be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But they're not giving you the details. They are not giving you the details. And they're not giving you the details because they want you to believe a narrative. They want you to believe one particular narrative. And the facts are the things that refute this. It's the facts that refute this.
So just so we are following all of Trump's new theories, the old theory was that Fani Willis was prosecuting him for fame and future.
Now, I do want to say this too. She keeps saying Trump's new theory, which I understand, right? It's Trump. Thank you for becoming a member, which is, because Trump, the evil orange man. I understand that. But she's making one critical mistake here by keep saying Trump. This wasn't Trump's motion at the beginning. This was another co-defendant's motion, right? Trump joined on later after he saw things were going well, but this was another co-defendant. So it wasn't Trump who brought up this theory. Matter of fact, Trump's counsel is just attached to it, but it's Roman. It's one of the more subordinate people. So I understand Trump's the big bad, and she's got to say Trump. But Roman is the one who brought this up. Roman's attorney is the one that found this, and Roman's attorney is the one that brought this up. So Trump is a big name to say, but she's being inaccurate here. It's not Trump who's even making these arguments. It was Roman's attorney who's bringing these arguments.
Her political ambition, the new theory is that she's prosecuting him for free dinners. Let's take a step back because
no, they said she's prosecuting him for tens of thousands of dollars in benefits. That's what she's prosecuting for. So not only is she prosecuting for the tens of thousands of dollars in benefits, fame, fortune, and these kickbacks because she's hired her boyfriend. Think about and think about this. Let's forget about all this political shit. I want to pull everybody back. Forget about the political stuff. Step back. If I told you there was a government contractor who hired their boyfriend, who is not qualified in any of this stuff, who's not qualified, and that boyfriend is getting $700,000 of government money for doing work that they're not qualified for, and then you find out, right, that I am getting tens of thousands of dollars in trips and benefits from that person, or then you're going to be like, well, yeah, that's corruption. Why you hired somebody who it doesn't, obviously there's an issue here, but they don't see it as an issue. They don't see it as an issue. They see it as it's okay. She can sleep with him. She can hire him. He's unqualified, and she can take all these kickbacks, because that's essentially what you're talking about. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in kickbacks going to all these different places, and it should be okay because it's your money. But again, these millions of people are watching this and going to believe this without thinking critically about it. Keeping large amounts of cats and announcing to the world is the easiest way to get got. Yeah. But think about it though. What else could she have said? I need people to really think about what else could Fani and Wade say. Does anybody honestly think that Fani Willis paid Wade back in cash? If you think that, then I got a bridge to sell you, right? That shit didn't happen. But you got money coming to Fani. You got all these receipts about dinners and all this other shit. And she knows that if she says he paid for it, she didn't pay him back, what's going to happen? She's off the case. So how can you? So the first thing any investigator is going to ask you for when you say, I paid somebody back, what's the first thing any investigator is going to ask you for? Where the goddamn receipts? Like, where the damn receipts? And as soon as you go, okay, I don't have receipts. Okay, well, if you don't got no receipts, how do I know you paid the person back? And any mobster, anybody who's crooked, the first thing they're going to say is, I paid in cash. Now, if it's $5 in cash, if it's $10, that's okay. But we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, people. We're talking about at least $10,000 in cash. That's not reasonable. $2,500 all at one shot. So then, as an investigator, you go to the next level, right? Because I was a criminal investigator. You go to the next level. Okay. You paid them back in cash. So there's got to be some trail of large amounts of cash coming out your account, right? So we can look at your bank records and see, okay, so you took out $2,500 to pay him back. What did she say? No, we can't find the $2,500. It's not coming out of my account, right? Okay, you don't got the 20. All right, so did it come from your salary? How'd you get $2,500? Well, I've been saving up $50 at a time for 70 years. What? Okay, so then you would say, okay, she can't show us that she even took the money out of her account. So number one, where the hell she get all that cash? But okay, she's doing it $50 at a time, if you believe that. Next thing you know, you go to Wade and you say, okay, well, since you got tens of thousands of dollars in cash to pay you back, show us your bank receipt. Show us that you deposited any large sums of money from these transactions. Well, I didn't deposit. I left it at my house too. Now, all of a sudden, he's keeping cash at the house, right? Are you guys really understand how foolish this sounds? And then you say, okay, well, do you even have the cash now? No, I spent it. Any record of the cash? No, I spent it. So now you get the tens of thousands. You're spending it like crazy. No, there's no way to verify any of this. And the only thing that we can do is trust their good word. And now we have two witnesses saying they're lying. That's where this is at. But again, it all depends. This is where politics and rational, reasonable thinking conflict. And that's what's happening here with Media Touch. It's politics over reason. We want to get Trump. We don't give a damn about the facts as long as we can massage them to get Trump. This case reminds me of Michael Avenatti, the guy who left, worshipped until he was in prison for stealing clients' funds. Yeah, Michael Avenatti was, and even all those cases, I remember his cases with Stormy Daniels. I was like, these cases are bullshit. But you know what? The media, it was kind of a get Trump thing. So I understand. Fani is a typical third-rate feminist, but in a relationship, she threw Wade under the bus like crazy, right? She threw him under the bus like a slave. She was just like, yo, he's a misogynist. She's all that. It's like, what? She threw him under the bus. Bad. It was horrible. But in a relationship, her money is hers. His money is his. His money is hers. They'd expect men to fall into their gender roles. Yes, and if you think about this, think about how convenient all this is. And people, I'm asking you, really think about how convenient this is. Just so everybody can see too. I'm going to go back to the court feed so you guys can see. The court, they still live. There's nothing going on over there. But I just want everybody to see the court feed, just so you can see nothing's happening. I want people to understand how crazy this is, how insane this is. Fani Willis said she paid for his trips. The 50th birthday, she paid thousands of dollars for his trips and his stuff, which is fine, right? I believe that. I believe she paid for one of those trips. But all the money, all the stuff that he paid for, she reimbursed. So not only did she pay for all his trips, anything he paid for, she gave him his money back. So it was all one way. They expect us to believe that Nathan Wade got no money for anything, right? He didn't benefit from Fani Willis at all. The only person who was paying anything out was Fani, one way in this relationship. Yeah, that's the kicker. Yeah. She doesn't want to. They waived cross examination, so she's not going. So right now we're waiting for the attorney for Nathan Wade to testify, and the attorney's we're waiting for him to testify for one reason, because he can establish under oath when the relationship actually started. So then you'll have two people saying the relationship started earlier. If Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are disqualified and the RICO case continues, will Trump's lawyers be allowed to call Willis and Wade to testify about their meetings with the White House officials, if those even happened, if they're relevant? That's because now you got to have some good faith basis that they were at the White House. They tried to ask that yesterday, but they didn't get an answer to it. Just because you're in Washington doesn't mean you're at the White House. I think Wade went to the White House, but again, you would, and then you're talking about a new DA's office, so you're talking about the motivations of bringing the charges. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll be relevant. It'll be good questions though, but it's going to be hard to get the opposite side's attorneys to stand up. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't. I understand why you want it to happen. I understand why they asked to question it, but I don't think it's going to happen. This is 100% a case of motivated reasoning. Yes, they are motivated to find a reason, excuse for bad behavior. This is how Legacy News is lying to lie. Yeah. This is exactly what you're seeing here. And don't get me wrong. I believe these people really believe they're doing God's work. But if you just listen to the reasons, it's bullshit. Would a valid excuse be she paid him back in romantic favors and her time on dates? It could be the quid pro quo, right? The quid pro quo. But I wouldn't want to call her a prostitute, though. That's the sense what you're alluding to. Which the judge could be trusted to do the right thing. Well, you don't know that yet. Right? You don't know that yet, right? Nate, I'm actually hard left, and this woman is a little more. Cobra God. Let me play this up. Oops.
Those of us who have been covering Trump for years are familiar with his special strain of sexism. In fact, one of his early criticism of Fani Willis had to do with her sex life. He claimed she was sleeping with some gang members.
They say there's a young woman, a young racist in Atlanta. She's a racist. And they say that she was after a certain gang and she ended up having an affair with the head of the gang or a gang member. And this is a person that wants to indict me. She's got a lot of problems, but she wants to indict me to try and run for some other office.
Now, one thing I do appreciate is how they keep you focused on Trump. But remember, Trump didn't even bring this. This was Roman, right? But again, you have to have the big bad. So, and this is milk for the grist, right? People want to believe this. Every budget in Fulton County is lined up around her apartment. Every burglar. That's right. And just imagine this too. Also with this is a good thing. But remember, she said she left her house because there was a fear of there was too much going on, right? There was what did she say? There was she was afraid that people were going to get her at the house because her address had been leaked and all that other stuff. But then why would you leave your elderly father at the house? Right? Why would you leave your elderly? That doesn't make any sense. So I think that's just, it just was like, what? Really? You're gonna it's so bad for you that you gotta flee and run to another, but then you're gonna leave your elderly father there to take the bullets? Like, really? And also, and all that cash in the house. All that cash in the house. And Wade is like, I don't want to tell people where the cash is at in my house because there ain't no cash in there. You're full of shit. We all know he's full of shit. Fani got laid. We got paid. We got played. Yeah, I like that. It's rhyming here. When your white lie turns into tax fraud. This is not looking good. Fani doesn't want to emasculate a black man, but his stuff doesn't work. Well, she did emasculate him. He can't pay nothing for me. Blah 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 blah. That's this was meant to be the whole pro woman power thing, which I understand. Hey, women have rights too. Women, be a proud woman, but obviously she's using that to play the game, right? He was a misogynist, and I'm fighting against the misogyny. So that's what she wants people to believe. Which it is what it is. Rob, just me, a lowly divorce attorney. Get ready for court today. Daydreaming about spicy cross mountain of cash. These attorneys have been fun. Rob, that's Rob from Law and Lumber. Don't forget to check out Rob. Rob's got a great channel. He does his Friday night streams, which is great. He's probably going to be doing it tonight. Rob from Law and Lumber, thank you so much for dropping by, and good luck. Rob is from Virginia, defense attorney from Virginia. Divorce attorney from Virginia. So this is what he does, baby. This is what he does. Let me go back, just to let you guys see. We're looking at the feed from the courthouse as of right now, and nothing is happening. So that's what's going on. We're going back to look at Media Matters and see how they're covering and see if they're just being accurate with their coverage. That's all we're going to do, because we have all these other people. We're going to look at some right-wing coverage of it too, but we're going to see who's more accurate. Is the left-wing media more accurate, or the right-wing crazies are more accurate? So here's a left wing. Let's see if they're being accurate.
Office.
Okay. So all of that was bogus and completely untrue. But let's just pause on the part.
Willis got caught. Go to have a is his
Extremely accomplished professional, because it was.
Yeah.
He did that not because it was even remotely true, but because it was a dog whistle. He reduced her, an extremely accomplished professional woman, to her sex life, to her alleged sex life. It doesn't matter if it's true. It's a common and easy way to reduce, minimize, and debase a woman. Sadly, Judge McAfee allowed him, his co-defendant, and their attorneys to do it again in front of the whole world to see.
Now, I got to be very clear. Matter of fact, let's look at her example of Trump's attorneys fighting the sexism battle and trying to destroy a woman based on her sex life. Let's see what
when the state was
Well,
able
it's
to
highly
follow
offensive
up.
when someone lies on you, and it's highly offensive when they try to implicate that you slept with somebody the first day you met with them, and I take exception to it.
All right, well, Ms. Willis, she'll.
What really just irritates me about the Fani Willis thing, it just gets under my skin.
Now, remind you, the thing that they are not mentioning is Fani Willis waived and begged to testify, right? Nobody forced her into this. They're making it seem like Fani was forced. The judge said, you got to come testify. That's not what happened here, people. The judge, I believe, was going to say she can't testify. You can't call her. But Fani saw things were going downhill and said, I need to get my side of the story. So they are making her, and look, everything you've just heard from this channel is all about making Fani into a victim. Right? She's the victim of misogyny, victim of being, racism, victim. I want you to feel sorry for her, not knowing that she's the one that did all this. She's the one saying she's paying in cash, and she's the one that said she was going to testify. Nobody forced her to do any of this stuff. She didn't even have to be in that courtroom that day, but she did. She chose to do it. So this is what they're pushing on the left-wing side. Let's finish up.
Because it's just such a ridiculous double standard that we have here for Fani Willis, for women, for strong women, women of color. It's just, I've seen it a million times. And
how many boxes did she just check with that one statement? For women of color, women with one leg, women who happen to have perms. Like, she just she just was like, let's make sure we let people know it's all about racism, sexism. It's just put an ism on it, and we're going to go with it.
And what really irritates me is the irony here, right?
All right, what's the
You've
irony?
got Donald Trump, who's been found by a jury to have sexually assaulted, to have raped E. Jean Carroll, sexually assaulted her.
Now, just to be clear, the jury didn't find. Matter of fact, the jury specifically found that E. Jean Carroll wasn't blanked, right? Literally, I have a video on it where I literally pulled up the juries when they deliberated. When they checked the boxes, guilty, not guilty. They said, did Trump blank E. Jean Carroll? They put no. So that's just a straight up lie. The jury actually found that Trump did not blank E. Jean Carroll. That is a fact. That's a fact of reality. So that's just a straight up lie. They literally. Generally, I would say I'm not too sure about that, but that is a fact of reality. The jury found specifically Trump did not do that. I don't know why she's saying that, but it is what it is.
There were two other women who testified at that E. Jean Carroll trial, right? That he sexually assaulted them. He brags on an accident.
Now you see I don't know if you guys see what's going on here, right? It started off about Fani Willis. She's sympathetic. She's a black woman. She's now a woman and now we're getting to Trump is still, they're doing exactly to Trump they're claiming Trump is doing to Fani Willis. But the more important part to this rendition of the facts is that they're not going into any of the facts. They're not going to any of the statements. They haven't told you any of the facts of this particular case. It's all believe what we're telling you. And that's how the media is doing. This is why media touches is so popular, because they don't have to tell you what the actual facts of the situation are. They just gotta pretend to tell you what the facts are. They brush them and then tell you what they believe you want to hear. This is a racist, this is a sexist, this, that, right? And it works. It works because, again, these people get millions and millions of views. This video has hundreds of thousands of views because people want to believe that. And if they were to sit there and tell the people the facts, they wouldn't watch anymore. Why would you watch that? We don't want to know the truth. We want to know how you spin the truth. And that's exactly what they're doing here. But again, that's one side. We'll listen to a couple of others until the court comes back. Don't forget, her kids would stay at the house too. I to leave Mount kids and elderly dad in the house, in a house that I'm afraid of. That's true. Yeah, she did leave her kids there too. Yeah. So if you're afraid that gangbangers come in to do drive-bys at the crib, why would you leave your dad and kids at that? None of that made sense. Thanks for the $4 super. None of that made sense. If that makes sense to you, let me know. But that just doesn't make sense. Hey Nate, I wish to do more, but I only pay for everything in cash. I hate you. Imagine, and Fani even uses Cash App for some things, right? She uses Cash App, but not for all this. I hate how people these days use the term dog whistle to make anything anyone says. Yeah, they have this bigger meaning. I agree. It's a perfect fall of the truth. But again, if we listen to this whole thing, right? And they're not mentioning anything about the facts of this case or facts of what happened, right? They're telling you, this is what I want you to believe. That's all it is. Why would getting monetary kickback in a form of trick to make this wrong, but getting D as a kickback is not? Listen, we all know if you're getting, that's how the mob works, right? Don't pay me back in cash. Give me all this. Give me a car. Give me this. Give me that. Right? Money isn't the only form of payment. Right? Money is one of the forms of payment, but people can pay you in extravagant gifts. Somebody gives you $100,000 watch, right? Instead of the cash, you'll still take the watch, right? If it's a kickback, and that's what's going on here. It's instead of think about it this way. If this was straight cash, Wade giving her cash to be her boyfriend, that's one thing. But the trips and the plane tickets and all that stuff, that's also considered to be gifts in cash. So, and again, she doesn't want to do it. Fani and Wade testifying was planned as a curveball. Yeah. But I think she really wanted. I think Fani really wanted to prove that that this wasn't that he didn't give her anything. But I think in doing so, she kind of overplayed a hand. Nate, when she said that she had money in her house from her campaign in 2018, is that that may be issue? It could be an issue from that but I know she said she took a $50,000 loan out of it, but there could be some campaign issues with that. But again, each state's rules and stuff are different, so I wouldn't want to really opine on that because I don't know. But I think it would be problematic in most cases, though. James, thank you for becoming a member. Thanks for becoming a member. Let me see. The fact that she says she pays her best friend back with Cash App, yes, she said, but her boyfriend, she pays more cash, is enough for me. Yes, I pay my friend with Cash App, but when it comes to tens of thousands of dollars, I pay my boyfriend in cash. That can't be traced. No, who's believing this? Wade said he worked on a campaign in Hapsville condo. Fani never mentioned that. I almost denied. The condo thing was interesting too, because don't forget the condo is where her best friend, and that's one thing about the best friend I do want to mention too. About the best friend didn't want to testify. The best friend fought the subpoena. So that's what makes the best friend to me seem even more credible. She said, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be here. Had the lawyers try to fight to stop her from testifying, and the judge still forced her to testify under subpoena. So that's what makes me believe that the friend is the best friend to me seems credible because she really was trying not to be there. And this, the judge unfortunately was like, it just is what it is. Let me play. Here's another left wing. Now, I don't know what's going on with the Young Turks. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know. The Young Turks is the progressive left wing stuff from YouTube, the first monetization partner, all that stuff. But I'm just gonna say it. They have gotten extremely more credible over because after the debacle, they've had a couple of debacles. Why is the public speech calling the defendant's racist not allowed? Why is Willis' speech calling the defendant's racist not allowed? Well, because she's the prosecutor, so she can, it's one of those things. The judge didn't even let lawyers bring that up. They're not, even though she has been calling them racist. I think because the judge, think about this, the judge don't want to be here all fucking day. So he's like, we're going to focus in on these particular issues and not all these sideshows. So I do understand why the judge is trying to keep it, trying to hold it down that way. I want to show you what TYT is saying, because not all the lefties are thinking this is good, but I'm going to look at another take. Your lesson on how to think critically on evidence and propaganda is brilliant. It's so important to understand when you are being manipulated and lied to. Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's what media touch is straight up lying to you. It's not, they're not even trying to hide it. They don't touch any of the facts. They tell you what they want you to believe, and then now people are going to go and believe whatever Oh no, our media touch. They said it was all BS. Fanny's the victim, not knowing that she's the one that put herself in that situation. But I want to show you. Let's look at TYT, because TYT had a very interesting take on it. Let me pull this. Hold on. I'm just pulling it up. 1 second. Hold on. Sorry. All right, here we go. So I'm going to play TYT, and let me share this screen. All right, so this is TYT. I want to see now. Let's see if they get the facts right. Right. I want to see if they get the facts right, because I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about this one. Check this out.
I was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Now I want to just be clear. One of the attorneys, when they asked this question, one of the attorneys gasped, like, "Are you really serious?" When he said the cash thing. So listen to the question, and you'll hear the attorney gasp, and the judge says, "I'm gonna kick you out if you gasp again like that." But listen to this, because it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit.
You said in the affidavit that you roughly shared travel, though, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this roughly sharing travel, you're saying she reimbursed you.
She did.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
I was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, obviously, that's very convenient because you pay in cash. You don't have a paper trail indicating that Fani Willis has, in fact, reimbursed Wade for these trips. And then later, when she testifies, she explains why it is that she carries so much cash with her. We'll get to that in a moment. But Cenk, what are your thoughts on what he said there?
This is what the kids call sus, or they did at least a couple of years ago.
It is sus. It's sus like a mother. It's pretty sus. It's pretty sus. It's pretty sus, people. I mean, I'm gonna do super chats in a second. It's pretty sus. It is sus.
So, guys, come on, really? So you have to understand something. When you say, "Oh no, it's okay, it wasn't inappropriate. He wasn't paying me with taxpayer money that I gave him, and then he took me to Aruba." No. I was paying him back. The very first thing a prosecutor is going to ask you, or an investigator is going to ask you, is, "Oh, you paid him back? Great. Where's the bank records?" Right? "Oh, I don't have any bank records." And okay, well, he's probably got the bank records if you paid him, right? "Oh, he doesn't have it either." So what would you make up? The only thing you could make up is it was in cash. It was in cash, or maybe gold bullions.
Right, and even when it comes to cash, during cross-examination.
He's pretty interested, huh? Not everyone is trying to go. As you can see, media touch is just trying to literally just fool people. But it's like, really? People, it's so obvious what's going on here. You're listening. Oh yeah, thank you so much thank you so much for this, because we are being lied to. The Young Turks have had some real cringe takes or flat out lies. The numbers are dwindling, trying to stay relevant. Possibly, but this take is not bad though. Let's just keep it real. I give them a lot of. You look at my channel, I give them a lot of stuff, but they're keeping it real. This is sus, right? This is sus, right? So. Right now, just so everybody, for those of you who just joined us, let me share the court feed. This is the court feed. and we are waiting to get back to the hearing. This is the court clerk who's still there. But they are going over questions that they want to go. So right now we're going over looking at how people reacted to the testimony from yesterday, and we're looking at the Young Turks and how they said it's sus, right? They say, oh yeah, this is all suspect. Then we looked at Media Touch, which is saying Fani's a victim. This is extreme left wing now. Fani's a victim. She's, it's total craziness that she's even being questioned about this. And obviously you go right into I call it the black woman, black this, all black people are victims. That's essentially what they were saying. What is it? The Hill, they actually had a very interesting take on it too. Now the Rising from the Hill, they specifically are not left wing, but they consider themselves to be moderates in the middle. So here's their take on it, which I also think is hilarious.
We got some breaking news on the sordid tale of Georgia DA Fani Willis and her star-crossed lover, Nathan Wade. Now, Wade just testified that he paid for vacations he took with Willis using his, quote, business credit card, and then was reimbursed by her in cash. Take a look.
All I needed. You said in the affidavit that you roughly shared travel.
Fulton County DA employee and personal friend of Willis since college testified that Willis had definitely been in a relationship with Wade since 2019, which directly contradicts filings in which the pair claimed their relationship began in 2022.
Woof.
Very bad. So we all know that, I paid for this on my credit card, but then I was reimbursed in cash is a very convenient and implausible excuse.
Right. There's two things there. One is it's difficult to trace, so you can't really verify that she did reimburse you. Therefore, it stands that it's possible a corruption scheme. Or two, there's still something nefarious about the idea that you would need to be reimbursed in cash. These seem like not insignificant amounts of money, and it seems
cash,
very
not
informal.
Venmo, not
exactly. Completely, it's just not. That's not
unmarked,
how people operate.
Unmarked bills in a paper bag.
I can't tell you the last time I even touched a dollar. To be honest.
Now, mind you, the young woman here, she's extremely left wing. She has some crazy left wing takes. I watched this show, but she's even saying this is all suspect. So it's just funny to see the shows that get the most views on YouTube are the ones that I think are the most extreme. Like Media Touch is killing it. They're killing it. But as you can see, they don't give a damn about the facts. They need to keep pushing the narrative. But the shows that really kind of go into it, those don't want you to lose, don't have as many views. So, but as you can see, everyone sees this the appearance of impropriety, I think, is here. A couple of super chats came in. After taking time to digest everything testimony, in your opinion, what's the probability of Fani getting kicked out? I think it's still 50-50. Because don't forget, this is an extreme remedy for a judge to do. So it's I don't think it's going to be something that the judge can do lightly, right? It's got to be able to hold up too. So I think there's a lot here, and I think if the testimony today goes how I think it's going to go today, I think it's a real strong possibility. But again, right now I just don't know. I think there's enough there though to keep going. Southern gentlemen don't share the sweet taxpayer cash with white kids. Yeah, it's insane how I think some of the media are trying to portray this as a win for Fani Willis. Some in the media are trying, like look what MSNBC. I'm going to show you their headlines. They're literally trying to portray this as a win for Fani Willis, which is insane. Here it is. Let me show you this right here. Look at the headline. She came in hot. Fani Willis tortures Trump's lawyer. How effective is Fani Willis's testimony? So they're going straight up, right? They're straight up in the tank. I don't even know if these people watch this thing, But
Katie Fang, let's
how many
start
people
with
watched?
you.
Look at this.
The most remarkable thing you saw
700,000
today.
people saw this. She came in hot. Fani Willis
Fani
torches
Willis
Trump's
on
lawyer
the stand,
and
the
stunning
district attorney
testimony.
of Fulton County.
Did we get that yesterday from what we saw? See, the people who actually are here watching it, right? Did you get that? Did you get that she torched the lawyers, right? Tax and IRS implications. Whenever you're all right, that's a bomb. So just to answer this question, I run my own business. If I have a business expense that I go and get tax deduction for, right? I say, hey, this is a business expense. Don't pay me those taxes. But then comes to find out that I've been reimbursed in cash and haven't reported it. That's a big problem. So if Nathan Wade, if all those trips to Aruba, to wherever, if all of those trips are paid, if all those trips, if he took them off as business expenses that he paid Fani Willis, and it comes to find out that now they're saying that he got reimbursed in cash, yes, that is a huge problem, because you have now gotten a benefit and you've taken it off in taxes, but you got paid back for it. That's essentially what would be a problem. That would be a problem. And it would also be a problem if he didn't get paid back, because Fani Willis would have gotten all these gifts that she didn't report, all these tens of thousands of dollars. So we're talking about a really, really serious IRS issue if it happens that way. And I think Wade is playing fast and loose with the IRS issues here. So yeah, so there could technically be a tax problem. If, especially as soon as you, the IRS, as soon as you start saying tens of thousands of dollars in cash, the IRS ears pop up, right? I get cash all the time. I get cash coming. I get cash all the time. Then they're going to be looking. They're going to be looking at your statements. Like, where's all this tens of thousands of dollars in cash? You got reimbursed for these trips? Really? Well, then you know what? Either if you get reimbursed for the trips, either then that cash is taxable, or did you take them? So there's a lot of questions that if I'm in the IRS, I want to know. Pay attention, Nate. He said they were classified personal. He tried to. Yeah, he tried to. You wasn't paid. He said they were classified and personal. Of course, they're going to say that, but I don't think that doesn't mean anything just because he said it. But I do understand your point. But yeah, it's, right now it's relevant to this case. Just so everybody understands too where we're at. Going back, this is the court again. As you can see, the clerk, she's sitting there typing it away as we review what people have been saying about it. And I'm going to look at some of the other attorneys too who are covering this case. Wade must have been laying some good pipe. Fani just threw her career away, getting some ghetto in the process. No, but we haven't finished seeing what MSNBC. So let me see. What do you guys think MSNBC is going to say? Are they going to say Fani did a bad job? Are they going to say Fani's in trouble? Or are they going to say Fani is the winner? Let's see. Let's see what MSNBC says. Right? Let's see what they say.
Taking the stand as a witness in the case that she is prosecuting, but of course only within the framing of the pending motion to disqualify her. She came in that have come from the defense attorney so far.
Andrew Weissman, our colleague, Katie Fang, did a magnificent job of hacking through the level of minutia that we have all spent watching today. Let's take a big step back and make sure that we are not missing the forest for the trees. Why are we here?
So the judge had a motion made by Fani Willis's team to say this is all legally irrelevant, that there may be issues here, but they're not relevant to a disqualification motion. And he said, they may be. And this is what I'm interested in. And he said, what I'm interested in is not just, did she have a relationship or the lead prosecutors and she was just benefiting from it. So he said, that's what I'm interested in. Well, as you know, the hearing became sort of a free-for-all.
It's a circus.
If you go to that specific issue, the one that he said he's interested in, you do have, as Katie said, you have both Mr. Wade and Fani Willis saying that they did split what was going on. Now, there has to be, a credibility finding that the judge has to make. About credibility? But they said that some paid in with credit cards, but she said I reimbursed either because I paid things directly or at times I took cash that I had at home and I reimbursed him. If
she didn't say at times, right? She didn't say at times. She said every single time except for once she paid him in cash, tens of thousands of dollars in cash, right? Every single time I paid in cash. But he's saying sometimes, right? Because again, it makes it seem, once or twice she paid him in cash, right? Again, it's all in the way you present the information for the audience. Because now people are thinking, oh, this is not a big deal. Not knowing that she's saying every single time I paid in cash except one time and tens of thousands of dollars. And I think a fair way, because he's got to, again, this is MSNBC, for God's sake.
The judge credits that, and there may be more testimony to come, including from Fani Willis's father, that she alluded to. But if that is sort of resolved, that the financial piece was roughly equal, that should end this. It is a huge distraction. It is salacious, but the legal reason for being here may become something that is relatively simple for the judge because there may not be contrary evidence in the record.
We're going to unpack everything that you just laid out. But before we even do that, I want to take an even bigger step back.
Yeah, because I'm always in the weeds.
Entire conversation about, Donald Trump. And there's a conversation about, as you said to me, as we were watching, anytime the attention is on the wrong table, that is a problem.
Yeah. So, at trial, the court of public opinion is looking at the prosecution pick a new DA to take over this case. There was an argument about whether the defense had met the very high burden before you call an adversary.
Fani kept saying it campaign money. It's
one
possible.
side or the other doesn't just get to say,
it's possible.
Oh, I want to call Michael. Michael's going, what are you talking about? I'm a lawyer in the case. I'm not going to be. And so the law to call an adversary, you have to meet a very high threshold. The argument was going back and forth, and the judge seemed, he never had to rule, but he seemed disposed to say, you have not yet, defendants, met your burden to call the lawyer, the main lawyer for the other side. And Fani Willis shows up and says, I'm good. I'm waiving that. And it was, in some ways, it was strategically. I don't think it was done strategically, but it basically sent the message of, I have nothing to hide.
It did send that message.
It sent a message of panic. And as she said, she was very emotional, as Katie said. She was like, I'm taking the stand. I need to clear my name. This is not true. Now, obviously, the judge will be the ultimate arbiter of what he thinks in terms of who is telling the truth here.
She also underlined the stakes. I want to play a moment from today when she reminded us who's actually on trial.
Your office objected to us getting Delta records for flights that you may have taken.
Reminding us who's actually on trial.
Well, no. Look, I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
I want to talk with you, Lisa, about that legally, and then I want to talk, Michael, with you about that politically. What did you make of that moment?
I thought that moment was successful for Fani Willis.
What?
She sort of harnessed her emotion, and in that moment redefined, let's peel back the onion and clarify why it is that we're here. You've given me the equivalent of a proctological exam on national television.
So she thought that moment was good for Fani. That moment was disastrous for Fani. Why? Well, in my opinion, it showed that she was unhinged, right? She was asked one question and just gave a speech. If she was irrational, she was the combative, that she didn't look like a professional district attorney. She looked like a woman who was trying to hide from the truth of her paying her boyfriend tens of thousands of dollars and going on trips, right, in cash. That's what she seemed to be hiding from the fact that her friend is saying, yo, you were banging this guy since 2019. And you were paying him before, after you were paid, you brought in your boyfriend to pay him who wasn't qualified for the job. But again, all those pesky facts don't matter. It's about the spin. And again, you get people who look professional, who act professional, and say it in a very calm manner, but it doesn't change the fact that they're spewing nonsense here. This judge will have to work with this woman for years to come. Yes, no way he's going to toss her from the biggest case of her career. Yep. It all depends, though. It all depends because he is in a Republican state doing it. So I think the judge has just two things. Number one, this judge, if he's looking for it to move up in the circuit here, he could, but I don't know. This is gonna be. He does have to work with her. He does have to work with her in these criminal cases. But if there's so much here, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. But I would just hope that a judge would follow the law and rules of evidence versus their own political aspirations. And I think Fani may be done. If she gets kicked off the case, I think it's worse for her than anyone else. I think it's worse for her than anyone else.
And none of it was necessary because what you're trying to do is what, as Andrew just mentioned, distract from what my office is doing. We had conversations today about how much cash Fani Willis kept in her home at all times based on directions from her father and how she was raised. We could not have gotten any further afield from the allegations in her very sizable indictment. So,
well, hold on. So now you see the game is right. Why are they asking her about the cash she kept? But if you put it in the full context of what's actually going on in this case, right? Put it in the full context. The context in the case is that they're saying she's getting a kickback from her boy toy that she was banging in the form of tens of thousands of dollars in trips and benefits. And her response to that, her defense to that is that she keeps tens of thousands of dollars in cash at home that no one can figure out where she even got the money from. And that's the reason why it became relevant. So, as you know, it's I don't have to give you the full context if I want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind to what actually happened to you. I can take a piece out, say, look, they're asking her about the cash at her house. How bad is that? But not give you the full context on why they're asking her about the cash in her house. It's because she's the one that said, I paid him in cash. She's the one that says, I'm paying him thousands of dollars back, right? She's the one that's saying all this. And the next question is, where the hell did you get that cash from? I have it in my house. And when you ask him, where'd you put the cash? I have it in my house. Where? I don't want to tell anybody. Why don't you put it in the bank? I spend everything in cash. Oh, but I pay everybody else in Cash App and I get checks. But in this particular instance, because you're asking me for receipts, it's all in cash. Again, it frustrates me so much to see how they are just spinning all this nonsense. Can the judge find the appearance of impropriety just from the lack of record of payback alone? No. This is going to come down to credibility. Who do we believe? Right. So the credibility of does it seem plausible what Wade and Willis are saying? It is plausible. So now, do you have witnesses that is the witness that the relationship started earlier? If that witness is supported by Wade's attorney or by some other witnesses, yeah, the relationship started in 2019 or whatever. That would then destroy that credibility. So then that would kind of lead you to, okay, your credibility is destroyed. And then on the other side, you're telling me, trust you, right? Trust us that he paid me back. Trust me. There's no records. It's only trust me. But if I can destroy your credibility enough where I can't trust you, then we get to the appearance of impropriety. And I think that's where the defense is trying to go. They're trying to destroy Fani Willis' credibility and Nathan Wade's credibility, which I think they've done. He's lied on this. He's lied on this. He's lied under oath. By destroying their credibility, that then gives the judge that out to say, I can't trust what you're saying, but I have live witnesses who have proof shown me that you guys are lying. So guess what? Here's the appearance. So that's what they're going for. I don't know if they've made it there yet, but that's what they're going for. Under the assumption cash paybacks happened, not that I believe that, especially with their credibility very suspect. But if you would see, and that's the reason why, and this is very good. That's the reason why. Well, the reason why you come here, but the reason why we ask for receipts, right? If you have the physical receipts, if you have physical bank statements, that we don't need to trust your credibility. We trust with the documents, and that's it. This is over, right? If they had receipts showing that he paid it back, this is over. This is not even an issue, but they don't. So the issue here is their credibility, because we can't believe any paper. We can't believe anything. The only thing we have to believe is their word, and their word their credibility has been brought into question by other witnesses who have no reason to lie. That's what the judge has to kind of figure out. Who do you believe? And as you said in your super chat, you don't believe it. So does the judge believe it? I don't know. Why is family not saying alleged? No conviction yet. Yes, that's true. She should be saying alleged, but she's an emotional wreck on the stand. We see it. Thank you. Gift membership. Thank you for gifting a membership. I really appreciate that. Someone got a lucky membership. There's some videos for members only. You guys should definitely check out for those who are members. Wade turning out the Fulton County DA's office. Just so everybody can see, just so you see, I'm still looking at the court. The courtroom is still there. We're still looking at the clerk, looking at her phone now. So we're waiting because, again, they're back there arguing about those questions that went asked the attorney. She told us that $10,000 came from, she got it $20 at a time, paying for groceries. I know. She's going to public, right? You can only take out what, $10 or $15. She's taking about $10 at a time over 5 years or something like that. Every time she goes. And that brings to $15,000. He had never prosecuted before. Yeah, he never prosecuted anybody before. He did prosecute. He prosecuted misdemeanor cases, but no felonies. They couldn't find any felonies. So, yeah. The only people I know that pay that much in cash are mobsters and drug dealers. She also hinted cash came from her campaign. Yes. But I think she's trying to clean it up. I missed it. Why do you keep saying he was not qualified for the job? Okay. So this is about Wade. So this is a RICO case. Now, RICO cases and prosecutions are extremely, extremely complicated because it's like a conspiracy-minded case. So generally, there are what we call specialists who do RICO cases. So Wade has never done a RICO case. Now, that's not fun because this could be your first time. Even though the biggest case, you want somebody with some experience, but this could be his first time in RICO cases. He has never done, well, again, what we've seen, he's never prosecuted a felony case. So that's why people are saying, well, he was a judge in traffic court. So it's like, all right, so you take a traffic court judge, you give him his first felony case that he's prosecuting, and that felony case happens to be one of the more complex felony cases you can have, which is a RICO case. So that's why people are saying he's not qualified for this particular case with this many defendants, right? Now, he's trying to do the work, but that's why we're saying he's not qualified. He's not qualified because he doesn't have the experience to handle this type of case. Now, there were other lawyers who have the qualifications, who have handled these RICO cases, but Fani chose this guy. Why? Because he's the best. He's the best guy for the case. I don't know why she chose this guy. $100,000 threshold for gift disclosures with no receipts. You're done. Yes. But again, who's going to prosecute her for it, right? Who's going to call her out for it, right? Because for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, when I was in city government, anytime someone gives you a gift, contractor, somebody who's working for the city gives you a gift of over a certain amount, you have to report it. So if I'm the DA and a contractor for me gives me a gift, a cup, and this cup is worth $100, I have to report it as a gift. And it's not just one gift at a time, it's aggregate. Because, let's say if they buy lunch every day and lunch is $10, after 10 days, I got to report that, hey, they've given me over $100. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars with Wade. And she reported none of that. So that's where you get to, okay, well, now you haven't done the proper financial reporting on these gifts that you've been getting from Wade, that you have admitted to getting dinners. Now, her response is, well, he was paying me and I'm paying for dinners for him, blah, 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 blah. But the law doesn't talk about it. You could pay however much you want for him. It's when he pays for dinner for you. That's when you get into the reimbursement. Well, I reimbursed him in cash. That's kind of where we get that's where that remember, the cash protects her from the financial stuff. It protects the case. It protects. So she needs the judge to believe this cash thing is real. Fani is trying to win media approval. Even if her team loses, she'll use the check mark, as an excuse on why she was kicked from the case during the interviews. Yeah. It's all about racism. Yes, you saw Media Matters. It was all about racism, sexism, and all that other stuff. Nate, did you hear her trip up about some of the cash being from her first campaign. Yeah. I heard a trip up about that. Which could be illegal. Which could be illegal if she's in campaign. But again, I don't want to. I do not know. I'm gonna be. I got to be careful. I don't know if she did anything illegal. I don't know if that stuff is illegal, but it's suspect to me, right? It's suspect to me. Careful, bro. Fani loves lawyers named Nate. That's true. That's oh yeah, she loves him a lot. There's something up about the belief strip. That was kind of strange to me. How the hell does she not know? But like she's in North America, South America, or what continent she's on, right? If you go, it's like I don't know what continent I'm like. What like this is a person we just hired for to be the top prosecutor. She doesn't know where she's at. She doesn't know where she's at in the world. I went to Brazil, but I don't know what continent. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, really? You don't know? You don't know? Okay, but anyway, that was the only one she paid for with no reimbursement. Yeah, she said she paid for everything on that trip. And that's another thing, but that goes to credibility. So on this one trip, you paid for all his expenses, but you never allowed him to pay for any of your expenses. And it wasn't because of this whole issue. It was because I'm a strong woman and he's a misogynist man. So I wanted to always show him that I could pay my own stuff, but I could pay for everything for him. I don't know. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's very convenient, but it doesn't make sense. Was she allowed to be, why was she allowed to be told that? Because she's the sitting DA. Because she was the sitting DA. She was allowed to be nasty. She was allowed to do all these court because she's the sitting DA. And I know it's frustrating. There's special rules for special people. But yes, the judge is not going, because the judge, like the comment earlier, the judge, she has to work with these people for years to come. So yeah, the judge is going to give her a little latitude because he's going to be working tomorrow. The next case, there's probably cases that they're still working on. So the judge is going to give her a little latitude. But an older judge would have been like, I'm not hearing that shit. But that's just what happens here. Let's see her bank statements. But again, she says no, she's not giving up the bank statements because the bank statements would show she's lying. That's why she's not giving up the bank statements. I guarantee all cash withdrawals in the last 5 years don't add up to her claims. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. Let's see that paper trail. There is no paper trail. There is no paper trail. But again, she paid in cash. She paid in cash, and it didn't come from her bank. We don't know where it came from. We don't. Just imagine, God forbid, if any of us were being prosecuted and we got tens of thousands of dollars in cash, and they say, where'd the money come from? And I say, I don't know. I've been $50 a month from the supermarket. I've been getting $50 and I've been saving it all this time. And I got $15,000 worth of unclaimed cash here, and I've been paying everybody in cash. Who would believe that? It would be guilty. Guilty. Lock them up. Fani Willis, that's her excuse. She wouldn't believe that. If Wade Furman involved in laundering, it could. Well, it all depends if it's a criminal conspiracy. It's fraud, possibly. It's possibly you could possibly have a RICO case against him, which is interesting. That's interesting. You could. It's an interesting take, but it'd be funny, right? The RICO prosecutor being prosecuted for RICO. That'd be great. Nate, geography is hard. I'm in South America. I'm in North America. Where am I at? Can we all agree that saying Fani it's an auto disqualifier, it's true, right? Fani with the Fani. Imagine this woman being your boss, suicidal. Well, he was banging her, so he was banging her happily. Paid 90% cash, all to friend, but all cash to Wade. Yeah, so in one friend, she's given all cash app, right? She's using Cash App. And then to Wade, it's all cash, right? Clown, love the channel, Nate Dogg. Yeah, she paid 90% of cash all to a friend, but all cash to Wade. That's true. And it's like, and she admits she has Cash App. She admits she has all these other tools to pay, but why pay him in cash? Because there's no transaction. Nate, you gotta remember, there's no transaction. She's just saying, trust me. Trust me that I told you I paid him back. That's what she's saying. Trust me. Can you stream on Elon's platform as well, please? I try, but they haven't approved me for monetization, so I'm just waiting for that to come in. When they do, it'll be right there. Isn't the left's MO? They always protect their criminals. Well, as you saw with Fani, they're damn sure protecting her. Isn't a personal loan considered a gift? Yeah, of course. In the public servant realm, yes, of course, yes. If you loan somebody money, but again, these are not loans; these are supposed to be reimbursements. Why are they calling why are they acting like 10K in the house is crazy? That's not a lot of money to have on hand. I bet every prepper does too. I don't have $10,000 in cash in my house. If you have $10,000 in cash at your house, you need what you need. You need a bank account. Duran next song. Her name is RICO. Yeah, if you have, I don't have $10,000. I don't have $10,000 in cash. I'm sorry, people. I just let's do the lawyer round again. Let's see, because now we see how yesterday, if you're on the right, if you're on the extreme left, Fani is being prosecuted for being black, and the woman, if you're center and right, this is a shit show, and none of this stuff is believable. She claimed in church that everything was a white supremacy, white supremacy lie, and then later admitted to the affair. Yeah, she did say it was all racist, then she said it was an affair. Can she or should she use that in court? Well, remember, they tried to get to that in court. The judge kind of held it back because they were like, well, when you said this, you said it was all racism and all this stuff, but it's not. Then you admitted to it, right? So was that a lot? They were trying to get to that when they were questioning her yesterday, but they didn't get to it. So that's where I would have went. Right? I would definitely went there. Fani dressed as a homeless and pander for cash. Nate, thank you for doing what you do. Will what we have seen, I don't know why I can't read, will we have seen over the past day potentially open up another case of embezzlement of public funds? It possibly can, but it all depends on who's looking, right? It all depends on who's looking. And I don't think certain people who may not want to look, right? Certain people, we'll see. The AG, if I'm the AG, I'm hearing all this cash reimbursements, cash payments, and nothing's being reported. My ears are going like this, and I'm going to be like, I want to see what the hell's going on. You said you paid all this cash. The AG can easily subpoena. I've done it before when I was in the prosecution. Bank records, subpoena the bank, subpoena this, right? It's all there, right? So this is an easy case. And then you go like, okay, you said you paid him $10,000 in cash. I'm looking at your bank records. I don't see $10,000 of the cash coming out. Where'd you get that money from, right? Where'd you get that money from? Did this reimbursement happen? Those are the hard. Any investigator with their salt and go can easily go and break this apart because you get them under oath and you start investigating this. But is that going to happen? Do you guys think this is going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, Nate. I meant to say 90% cash app. That's why I said cash app. What about the convenience store that Fani kept all the cash at her daddy's? That doesn't make any sense. I keep all the cash with my dad, but I'm so afraid to live there because people know where it's at. And I don't know. None of that made sense. But they said they make it the dad to testify today. Told her to keep it off the off chance she will quickly need $2,500. But maybe that was right 20 years ago. But today we have things like credit cards and Apple Pay and Google Pay. So I don't know. Again, she's keeping cash with her just in case. But she's a modern woman. She doesn't need a man. Nate, most people don't have 10K in their bank either. Remember? Oh yeah, I know that. But we're talking about 10K in cash. We're talking about 10K in cash. What irks me is Fani lying in the House of God. She was definitely lying. Yeah, she's definitely lying. No doubt about it. What are the chances SNL makes us skit? Of course. I don't know. We got to see. This would be so laughable, skit, right? Oh, how'd you pay the money? In cash. I paid them all in cash. This matter of fact, you wouldn't have to even write anything else. You just literally just have them reenact what exactly we just saw. That would be funny as hell. Get her a Where's Waldo book. Did you know Fani means women's cat in the UK? Ooh, I didn't know that. That's funny. Hey Nate, if I'm correct, the DA is legally required to record or yes, over anything aggregate over 100. We found out yesterday and declare them. Yes, based on this, but she didn't. Wait, of course, she did. So she has broken. Well, she essentially has broken those reporting requirements. I think you're 100 on point. I think anybody who's watching this knows she's broken that reporting requirement because it was $100 in aggregate, but we got tens of thousands of dollars in aggregate. So it's not even that, right? We got tens of thousands of dollars. But again, it's not about what the people. I'm going to say this again. It's not about what the law is. It's who's going to enforce it. If the law says whatever, it's who's going to go and investigate it and enforce it. That's the issue here. We're at an enforcement issue now. If the judge disqualifies her, which is possible, this case is toast if it's filed for a change of venue. So I think two things can happen. This is a Jussie Smollett issue. So remember, Jussie Smollett, the DA in Cook County was disqualified. Her name is Kim Fox. And she had recused herself, but so none of the DAs in her office could do the Jussie Smollett case. So what they did was, in Cook County, they allow the court to hire an independent counsel who's a lawyer from the bar in that local area. So that's what they did. And so instead of changing venue, you can still prosecute the case in the same place, but it's a totally different attorney. And that attorney gets paid thousands of dollars to prosecute the case. So you could do that, and that would keep it in that county. Because generally, wherever you commit the crime, you should be judged by the people in the place where you committed the crime. But I think in Georgia, I think they do change the venue where they'll say, okay, this office is qualified, so we're going to give it to another DA's office. And then if they do give it to another DA's office, that DA can say, look at the case and say, there's not enough here, and dismiss on the claims with prejudice. With prejudice. So if that happens, then Trump is free and clear. This goes away forever. So yeah. It'd be very hard to prosecute to get a select jury to learn and to lean in their favor during jury selection. Yeah. But that's what it is. You know, man. Morning from Chicago. Good luck with the migrants up there, brother. Good luck with the migrants up there in Chicago. Why keep cash and not gold and silver? That's what cash appreciates. Thank you for the $9 Thank you for becoming a member. It's being reported she won't take the stand today. Yeah, I was looking at it. So today what's supposed to happen was that she was supposed to go under cross-examination. Essentially, she was supposed to have her own attorneys, but I think she saw the damage from yesterday. So I don't think she's going to do it. But we still have Wade's attorney. We have a lot to go on today, so it's not over. The Office of Professional Standards. Yeah, they should be all over this. If there's any true justice in the world, of course they'll be all over this. They'll be all over this crap. Would a new attorney get selected? Get to select a different special prosecutor? Yes. There'd be different everything. Everything would be no. But I don't think they would. They was the first thing of the new DA, if there is a new DA, first thing they're gonna do is look at the charges, look at the evidence. And then they got to make the determination, we're going to continue on with this thing. Is it a charade? And then if they say, no, we're not going to continue on, we're going to dismiss it. That's it. The case is over. So before you start hiring, you got to evaluate it. So, and I think, let's not forget, if this goes to a Republican DA, do you really think that DA is going to be prosecuting Trump under these charges? Just saying. Nate, when was the last time a woman reimbursed you for expenses? Well, I wouldn't say never. I've had, well, to be fair, I had to think. I'm like, shit, that I've been banging? A woman that I'm banging reimbursed me for expenses? Matter of fact, ladies in the chat, how many times have you reimbursed your boyfriend for every, let's along to this case, for every expense, for every dinner, every trip, everything? You reimbursed him for every single thing. Y'all went 50-50 the whole way, because that's what she said. Matter of fact, they didn't go 50-50. She was paying. She was essentially the man in this relationship, right? She's paying for all his stuff, and on top of that, giving him back money whenever he came out of pocket. So the situation is reversed. For women in the chat, give me a 1 if you've done that. Essentially, you bitched your man where you paid for everything. You get, and whatever he paid for, you went Dutch and gave him your money back. If that's happened, it's never happened with me, right? I never got reimbursed. I wonder if the AG in Jaja paid attention yesterday. I know it's Jaja. The AG. I'm assuming the AG in Georgia. Jaja, Georgia. All right. Also, is pretending SCOTUS decision on presidential measures is going to affect the RICO case? Ooh, that's a damn good question. All right, so shit. Now you're gonna make me fucking go into this shit. So just so everybody, all right, so it does affect it. All right. Just so we're clear. these charges for the RICO crimes occurred while Trump was president of the United States. He was president at the time. The way the law is today, if you're a sitting president, you cannot be prosecuted for crimes in any of the country, in any state, in any locality, and federally. You have what's called sovereign immunity. So as president, the president can literally kill somebody. That's why President Obama, he's ordering drone strikes for American citizens overseas. You can literally kill somebody. You can kill somebody. And you can't be prosecuted for that crime because as long as you did it as president. If the Supreme Court rules that Trump, as president, is immune, has sovereign immunity, then anything he did as president, like even in this case, could fall under that and then wipe these charges out because he would say that he has sovereign immunity in this particular case. So sovereign immunity could affect this. Now, I think motions would have to be made and things of that nature. But yes, if sovereign immunity does play, what they're saying is the things that he did while president would fall under that umbrella. So it's a possibility this could wreck that case. If it goes to some county like Baldwin, the case dies a sudden death. Yeah, I think if it goes any case, it's gone. It's gone. What's the standards? What is the standard or proof in this trial? Well, I think this is just preponderance of the evidence, and this is not really a trial. This is a hearing. It's a disqualification hearing. So really, the judge is trying to see if there was an appearance of impropriety in this particular case, trying to figure out if the DA was benefiting from the prosecution of these criminal defendants, and the benefits would be in the forms of gift and things of that nature. So instead of it could be cash too. So that's what this is. So right now the judge is really kind of just weighing this on a preponderance of the evidence. And if he finds, and I'm thinking if he finds, because this is not beyond a reasonable doubt, there's no jury here. If he finds, well, I'm not sure if this it could be clear and convincing. This could be clear and convincing, but it's one of the two lower standards. But if the judge finds that there's a preponderance of evidence that shows that there's an appearance here of impropriety, then I think Fani's is screwed. Why are you so biased against a black woman? Okay. I am biased against a black woman. Clarence Thomas was given 100,000. Yes, I actually have a video coming in on Clarence Thomas because I think Clarence Thomas thing is crazy too. So we're about to go into that too. But I kind of want to see if that fleshed out, and the fact that he didn't recuse himself too, which is another thing. But again, I'm about to. I got that video on the way. I wanted to make sure I did a little more research into that though. Was given thousands of dollars in gifts, and you're not saying nothing about it. I just did, but you're right though. I haven't done a video on it because it was in the weeds. But I should do a video on it. You're right. This guy, he's right. I should do a video on the Clarence Thomas thing. But a black woman, you are heavily biased. No, I'm watching the case here. But I think the Clarence Thomas thing is. But then you can say that when I do Clarence Thomas thing, you're saying I'm biased against black men. There's going to be about black people. There's not this. So who says it? But matter of fact, I've done cases. I've done videos that people hate about Trump when I talk bad about Trump. Matter of fact, there's some people out there will say I have Trump derangement syndrome. So I don't know. I just shoot what I went to. But thanks for keeping me honest. I will put out my Clarence Thomas video ASAP. I think, matter of fact, I think that's a members only video. I think I have one of my members only video is the Clarence Thomas video. So about how his, and it's not only Clarence Thomas though. It's Clarence Thomas. It's a couple of the GOP Supreme Court justices that have this issue, and then they pass the reforms and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. And he's right. I should be talking about that because I do think that's an issue. So thank you for bringing that up, and you will be seeing that video. So she likes black guys named Nate. She pays in cash, and lawyers will do anything for a buck. So would you, Nate? I don't know. I don't know if I do anything for a buck, but some people are saying that they did. They did. Oh no, some people are saying they didn't. Yeah, I don't know. So Rachel, you saying you paid everything for your boyfriend? Ugh. Looks like we're starting back up again. Oh, this is the defense team. Things are working. We need hey, we need to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Something's happening. Oh, so all right, so this guy, let me blow this up so everybody knows what's happening. So this is the attorney for the attorney. So this is this black guy right here. That's Nathan Wade's divorce attorney. So he's coming. He's there. So he's going to be on the stand. Now remember, this is the game now, people. If he says the relationship started before they said it did, game over. Sorry, I'm late. I missed it. So this is the ball game right here. Fani Willis is the only person in the world who doesn't know where the money came from. But just imagine, Linda, just imagine if you were in court and they got you flush with tens of thousands of dollars and you have the nerve to say, I don't know where the money came from. The jury's going to be singing guilty in the back. Guilty, 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 guilty. In this case, it's okay. It's okay. It's insane. I can't believe the judge. I can't believe this judge is only 35 years old. Yeah. But again, these judges are elected though. So 2019 broke according to her book. 2020, 2013. Yeah, she was broke in 2019 after she ran the first time. She's balling. Actually, she not only is she balling, but she's got tens of thousands of dollars in cash at the house. She's balling so much. No receipts because cash at my house from 500 to 15 to 1,500 to 15,000 in my house. She corrected the lawyer who said 20,000. I don't have 20K in my house. Big difference. Yeah. So yeah. But she was broke. In her book, she was broke after the election. Then all of a sudden she's flushed with cash. And where'd that cash come from? She's paying $20 a time at Publix, right? Not Publix, Publix. Sorry. Hypothetically, if she had reimbursed him for all the holidays he procured for them both with a traceable bank transfer, would there be a problem? Would there be no problem? Yes, there would be no problem. If you had, that's the issue, right? The issue is if you, let me turn this, make sure this is on so we can hear this. Yeah, the volume's up. If there is proof, tangible proof that she paid him that money back, then there's no case here. It's over, and we go on to prosecution. The only proof they have is their good word and testimony. The only proof they have for it is their good word. Their good word, the reason why it's not enough, because generally your good word's enough. The reason why it's not enough is because we have witnesses who are going on the stand. We had one yesterday that said they're lying. The relationship started in 2019. They're lying in affidavits and court documents. So the judge now can't just ignore that. Well, if you're lying about this, are you lying about the other stuff? So now say, okay, well now show us that you actually paid, because we have witnesses that are saying that you're not being truthful. And their response to that is, believe our good word that we did this. So if they had some way to trace it, then yeah, they'd be good. Court starting back up again. Here we go. Hill to D and gave my goodies. I will buy a toy. All right. So why are we not hearing anything? All right, let me see what's going on.
Is still
there
not
it is.
With us in person. However, there's a proposal to potentially move on to other witnesses. Why don't we start with the state? Ms. Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, those vacations cost more than.
In order to be efficient with the
Yes.
time, we have a witness here and prepared to take out of order, and it sounds as though there's no objection from the defense, so we can do that.
Ooh. I don't know. I do like Guy Gardner though, but Kyle Rayner. I'm a Kyle Rayner fan. For the Green Lantern.
Ms. Cross, I think she
John Stewart too is nice too, but I like John Stewart from the.
Did she not say who was her first choice?
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
That, the governor's name was mentioned. I think there are some facts and circumstances surrounding the search for someone to take over the lead of this investigation at that time. Now prosecution is something that, given the allegations in the case.
Yeah, they're more likely to go to Cobb.
All right, it doesn't sound like it would be all that long a witness. Anyhow. All right, so in that case, we can transition over, and Ms. Cross, I'd like to call your witness.
Thank you. The state would call Governor Roy Barnes.
And just so I'm clear, so you had told us not to ask questions about qualifications, so we did not ask any of our witnesses about qualifications. The state's now going to bring in evidence of that. We would just ask, I'll be able to go into that.
Because
Sounds to me
they may have lied
expressed.
about when the date started.
When
That's
asked
why.
Governor
That's why it's
Vaughn
relevant.
about his qualifications, that's something you'd have knowledge of. I don't know what his basis of knowledge for anyone else's qualifications might be, but I also don't think that opens the door to anything other than my understanding of what the testimony is.
As I hear it, the issue of qualifications versus who was her first choice is going to be relevant to her intent, maybe, and perhaps that issue of the case in whole. I don't think that necessarily opens the door. We'll see how it goes.
I did. It keeps getting demonetized, but it's a members only video. So if you join, you can see. I got the Marilyn Mosby video out there, but they keep demonetizing it. Fani be flexing. Yeah, she was flexing hard earlier. I'll reimburse you. I'll reimburse you in cash. All right. So the witness they wanted to come hasn't come there, so they're going to move on to another witness. I'm a Kilowog man. I like Kilowog, but I don't know. I like Kyle Rayner because he had like his stuff was more elaborate because he was an artist. So when he did his Green Lantern thing, they were more elaborate constructs. But Kilowog is, I like Kilowog too. Lifetime stash of cash whenever I lay my head. This is the game. That if they can prove she had an offshore account, oof, payments came from him. Yes. I think that would be a crime because now you start telling all these lies. If she got even off the money, they do their position. No, what you're saying is laying up. But again, I don't know if there's any proof of any of that. But she would be in some serious freaking trouble. Are you serious? One Love Bob Marley in the movie. Are you seriously? I'm going to see the One Love Bob Marley movie. It's on my list. So,
Ms. Cross, assuming this may be a 10 to 15 minute witness,
10 to 15 minute witness.
Witnesses on deck they'd like to go forward with as well.
Yes.
So now the defense has rested its case, but the state now is going to show that why Fani Willis shouldn't be disqualified. So that's where we're going to now. Look this up. Yeah, he worked as the judge used to work for Fani Willis too. I think that's another reason why he's given his former boss a little bit of extra leeway. So yeah. See, the good thing about watching the trial like we're watching it is that you get to actually see it. So even when the media starts spitting it the way we've been seeing them spitting it, you know what's true or not because you sat here and watched the whole thing.
I do. Roy Eugene Barnes. ROYEUGE.
Roy Eugene Barnes.
Barnes, BARNES.
Say, good morning, Mr. Barnes. Can you tell the court a little bit about your background as it relates to your service in public service?
I was first elected to the state senate in 1974 from Cobb County, and I served 16 years there. And then in 1990, I ran for governor and was defeated. And 2 years later, I went back to the House of Representatives. I was elected to the House of Representatives, served 6 years until I was elected governor in 1998, and I served in that position until January of 2003.
And after serving in the position of governor, Can you tell the court a little bit about what you transitioned into after your public service?
I did exactly what I was
Because
doing before.
we all work together. Most of the judges that I was in front of worked for the DA's office.
With my daughter.
If that was to happen, no judge could ever. That's the way you would go up. So generally, you're a DA, then you move to the judge, and then you go into your political career. That's what Fani did. DA, judge, and now she's the chief prosecutor. So.
And Governor Barnes,
most of the judges are former prosecutors.
Yes, we don't write contracts or we don't write wills. All we do is try cases.
And I want to direct your attention back to 2021, where you approached by the
I heard it. I got to know her videos coming out too.
Willis, about being a special prosecutor.
I was. I don't recall the exact date, but I know it was sometime in 2021. And she asked me to come down, and I met with her and Nathan Wade, and there were several other in the meeting. She asked me, said they were beginning this investigation, and she asked me if I'd be interested in being special prosecutor, to which I replied that I had mouths to feed at a law office, and that I would not do that. And also, I just had a bad, well, I won't say bad because it happens from time to time, but I just had the FBI to report a fella, a militia trainer, to me that said they were concerned that he was making threats against me. And because I thought it was because of the flag, but I asked him and he said, no, it was because I was too close to the Jews, quote unquote. And I told DA Willis I'd lived with bodyguards for 4 years and I didn't like it. And I wasn't going to live with bodyguards for the rest of my life.
So this is the first person that Willis asked to be special prosecutor.
Yes. Yeah, I told her. I said, I'm not interested.
Nothing further from the state.
Yeah, I'll go to another witness. I'll go to another feed.
Morning, Governor Barnes. How are you?
Just fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You said
Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Murchie.
Morning, Governor Barnes.
Morning.
How are you?
Just fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You said it was sometime in 2021. Do you remember?
I think it was. I don't remember the dates. They all go. I could look it up on my calendar at the office, but I don't have that.
Well, I want to ask you about some statements that Ms. Willis made March 28th, 2021. She was talking about assembling a team for this case. Are you familiar with her work assembling a team for this case?
Well, I assume that's what she was talking to me about. But besides that, I don't know anything.
And I know you had said you had a meeting with some folks and Mr. Wade was at that meeting?
Correct.
Okay. So he was with the district attorney interviewing you about taking this case.
Well, of course, I know Nathan very well, as you do.
Yes.
And I exchanged pleasantries with him, but the conversation was with Ms. Willis.
Okay, with Ms. Willis. Were you aware at the time that her team consisted of Brian Watkins, Megan Vargas, Sonia Allen, Shannon Trotty, Sal Chan, and John Floyd? She had reported that was her team on this case.
I know John Floyd was involved, and she probably told me the others, but listen, I barely remember what case I tried last year, much less every word that was said in the conversation.
I understand, fair enough. But she said she was looking to hire more lawyers and investigators to work on this case.
She told me, it was to me, she said, would you be interested in being special prosecutor in this case? And I gave the reply that I've already known. I mean, about hiring other lawyers or whatever, I don't know. All I can testify to is what she told me.
Did she tell you at all why she wanted to hire special counsel and not use someone who is an ADA, not have an actual employee?
No, she did not. I mean, we did not discuss that. And, but I would assume it was because case as big as this that you'd have to have some assistant help. I know John Floyd has been in some cases over the years out in Cobb County, for example, and others.
Would you agree that an employee of her office, someone who was paid a state salary or a county salary as an ADA, could handle a case like this?
I couldn't tell you that unless I knew the person, knew their experience, and really had been with them in a courtroom to pass an opinion on that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Say now.
Hello, Mr. Sadow.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
I hope you're well.
I'm doing fine, just getting older, but that beats alternative.
That's true, but that applies to all of us, I believe.
Yes.
I think you indicated that if you had your calendar, you'd be able to pinpoint a date for it.
I would.
Is there a way for you, for example, at a break before you actually leave to contact your folks to see if you can get a date?
I guess I could. I
didn't notice that.
I don't know how far back we archived those, but I assume I could.
Would you be willing to give that a shot for us?
I mean, I'll do whatever the court instructs.
So if I ask the court and the court says, go ahead and you could do it, that's all right?
I'll do whatever the court instructs.
I hear you.
And you should too.
I try to live by those words. I'm not always successful, but
thank you, Chris.
If I pinpoint a date, for example, I think the record is clear that Mr. Wade was hired for the position on November 1 of 2021. Does that help you at all?
No, it does not.
Okay. Then let's go to the meeting. It sounds like it was just one meeting.
Yes.
And could you tell us where that meeting took place, if you remember?
It was in the conference room adjacent to the district attorney's office.
So was it in this, the adjoining building?
It was in the Lewis Slayton building, yeah.
And District Attorney Willis was there, obviously, right?
Yes. Yes.
And Mr. Wade was there?
The best I recall, now I could be mistaken about that. It's like anything that far away, but that's my recollection.
Do you have a recollection of anyone else being present?
Yeah, there were some other folks, but I don't remember.
Do you remember, were you introduced to Mr. Wade by anything other than you already knew him? Was he given a title or anything?
I would have known him.
So at least as you're there, if I heard you correctly, Miss Willis did all the talking, Mr. Wade did not.
I mean, we exchanged pleasantries, but as far as the basis of the conversation, the reason I was there, Ms. Willis did the talk.
And would you be able to give us an estimate of how long this meeting lasted? Just rough.
Probably an hour.
Right. And during the meeting, you made it clear, but it was the thanks for the offer, but no thank you.
Oh, yes, I did. As I said, I started off as a prosecutor, and for about 10 or 15 years, I did nothing but criminal. And then, but I've tried to move away from it and do primarily civil now. Mr. Gillen and I have done some white collar cases over in federal court. I've got one over there right now, but it's generally business related, where I have a client that's got a kid or him getting indicted. And the case I have over there now is an alleged fraud case.
Thanks, Eddie.
Fair to say that based on your career and the work that you've done, you've handled high profile cases, correct?
I have. I've handled some pretty good cases. I sued Syria one time for beheading a client of mine, recovered $82 million. So I guess that's the best high profile, but that was in DC. I tried that up in DC.
And what would be considered complex cases, you've handled those as well, correct?
Yes. I mean, we regularly do mass torts, class actions, business torts, breach of contract, and most of those are high complex or complex, requiring
those are pretty
many
complex.
Experts. We also do malpractice. I did malpractice defense for about 25 years, but since I've returned from the governor's office, I try not to represent an insurance company anymore. And I just tried a malpractice case before Judge Edlin in November. And those are complex cases because of the type of
a mass tort is
medical,
similar to a class action lawsuit.
Knowledge
For those of you who don't know,
that you have to have, and also because of the many experts that you have.
Thank you. Did Miss Willis, and this is the last question, did Miss Willis tell you why she had sought you, why you had been her choice?
I'll tell you right now after
No,
this last question.
I hadn't, but I get consulted fairly often on major cases.
Would you believe, based on circumstances in which you were given the offer, that it had to do with the fact that you had handled complex and high-profile cases in the past?
It could have been. I know her very well.
I know where the defense.
I tried a case against her. She worked for the JQC, and I represented Judge Robert Crawford, Matt Crawford, and she prosecuted him, and I defended him. She beat me at the trial. I turned it around to the Supreme Court.
So you had some experience.
Oh, I had plenty of experience with it. She's a very qualified young. Well, everybody's young to me, but she's a very qualified young.
After that one occasion, did you have any other contact with her in reference to the position itself or who she might be considering?
I had some conversations with her or Jeff DeSantis or some of those, but not really an in-depth, about who she should hire or anything like that.
Did the name Nathan Wade come up in those conversations with her?
Yeah.
No, right?
Yeah. Nathan was there, I thought. Now, I could be mistaken, but I thought Nathan was there when I was.
For the
I
conference.
think Nathan was. I'm positive Nathan was there when I met with him.
Right. And my question was probably poorly worded, but what I was asking is after the conference and whatever consulting you might have done.
Yes.
Did Miss Willis or Mr. DeSantis bring up the name Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor?
I don't think so. I don't recall one. I mean, Nathan is a good organizer. Nathan can organize stuff. I've watched him over the years. So I wasn't surprised that he was acting as a special prosecutor.
And Mr. DeSantis, for the record, who was that? Jeff DeSantis?
Jeff DeSantis.
Do you know who he is?
Oh, yes.
Could you tell us who he is for the record?
Jeff works in the DA's office. I knew him when he worked for Thurber Baker.
You know what his role in the DA's office is?
I have no earthly idea.
Is he in media? Does that sound familiar?
He has done media in the past. Jeff has generally been, I like Jeff, and I'm very close to him, but he's generally been on the other side of my campaigns.
All right, so we're talking the best of your recollection, conference, we don't have the date, I'm asking if you could possibly get it, but the conference you have, Mr. Wade could have been there.
Yes, I'm almost sure he was there.
And Ms. Willis, obviously, and Mr. DeSantis was there.
I think Mr. DeSantis was too.
And as far as whether there was anyone else there, you don't have a present recollection?
No.
Okay.
Next time I'll take a picture, so I'll have an exact.
Next time, hopefully, you won't have to be here.
Well, hopefully not.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, Mr. Stockton.
No questions, Kelly.
Thank you.
Mr. Durham.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McDougall.
Questions for the governor?
Mr. Rice.
No questions.
Mr. Gillen.
I've been waiting for this for years.
I couldn't give up the chance getting up here, Governor. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Craig.
We've done some work in the past together, haven't we?
I consider you to be one of my best friends and a crackerjack lawyer.
Well, I will say to you on the record that I can understand why they came to see you because you're the finest lawyer that I've ever worked with.
Thank you. I need to put you in the next day.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get that. But one or two more questions.
Okay.
You and I working together when it's appropriate. We've had no qualms about filing motions to disqualify the DA, have we?
No.
Matter of fact, you and I successfully disqualified the DA out in Cobb County in the Brown case, didn't we?
We did.
This is
So
good.
whatever needs to be done should
You
be done.
represent your client.
You got that. Thank you so much.
This is good. This is good.
Mr. Coturo, are you still with us by Zoom?
Her witness.
I am, Your Honor.
goes
any
tries to
questions?
get DAs
No, sir.
disqualified.
All right. And Mr.
Nice.
Cromwell for Ms. Latham.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect, Mr. Abadi?
I got it.
Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
Thank
is there a way that we could potentially ask through you for that date if you can get it?
The question is, you want the exact date that the meeting occurred? And I'm wondering if we can, if it's really material,
Yeah,
the
if
exact
it's
date
not-
rather than just its
Yeah.
proximity to the November 1st hiring. Is
Was
that
it-
fair?
was it-
If he knows whether it was far earlier in the year versus maybe closer, would that obviate the need for the exact date?
Get the exact date, or we'll take the best we can get.
Okay, let's start there.
All right,
Uh,
let me
think, well,
look
you
around.
may take care of it for us,
So-
just if we hold in place
I'm not,
here.
I'm not sure. I have
So why
this,
they're calling this guy as a witness is that they're trying to show that
Well, let me try this first, Governor Barnes, before you do a deep dive in the email there.
uh,
Do you recall what time of year it was when this meeting occurred?
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
I mean, you know how this is. The cases and the days move together. I had a fellow a few years ago that said I represented him in 1978. I told him I'd take his word for it.
You wouldn't, you gotta ask you wouldn't do that if it was a question of him saying he just paid you.
No, I would not. I will tell you, I believe lawyers should be well paid, Mr. Soto.
All right, so sir, that's something.
I'll have to look. It didn't come up right here.
Okay.
I'll have to-
All right, we'll ask this witness to step down, subject to recall. And that might be something the state can present with stipulation as well. All right, thank you, sir.
just so everybody understands what's going on here, is that they're trying to show that Willis didn't just hire.
Do we have an
Willis, she was begging
update
him.
on Mr. Bradley?
He was actually like one of the last people she was considering. So that's why. That's why they're talking like this, because it's like, okay,
The last
hired
estimation I
Wade,
heard
but-
was about 11:30.
Okay, if that's still the case, then Ms. Cross, did you have another witness available?
But having brought over, it's Mr. John Floyd, not the special prosecutor, John Floyd. John Floyd is District Attorney Willis's father.
Okay, and is he heading
her
this way?
father is
All
coming.
right.
Her father's coming to testify about how he told her she's got to always keep money. But I don't know why that's going to be so great. But so we are all in the know. This witness is saying that, hey, she tried to hire this other guy, not her boyfriend, and he declined to do it. Now, the reason why he says, security, but he could have also thought the case was just shit, but nobody wants to ask that. So it was just kind of like, okay, well, she tried to hire these other people, but now they're trying to show that there was no impropriety in her hiring. She was looking for lawyers. Everybody was rejecting taking the job. And this was the guy that she got because he was not only, again, she's going to say he was qualified, but he also was willing to do the job. So this is where we're at. That's the reason why we heard from the former governor. So maybe we're going to hear from some other people she's trying to hire too. Just to show that, this he wasn't even, Wade wasn't the first choice. Now, to me, why is this relevant to this proceeding? Well, if it's, if the argument is she hired her boyfriend to get kickbacks, but now if the argument's that, he just happened to be the last in line. So even if she was begging him before that, it wasn't like he was the first choice. She'd asked other people. So that takes the sting off of she's hired someone she's begging, right? He wasn't the first choice. If Wade was present, wouldn't that change things? Well, don't forget, Wade was part of her transition team and her hiring process and all that. So Wade was there interviewing these people too. So Wade was part of her interview team. So Wade was there. But that again, that then goes to show that, she wasn't really considering Wade for this position. They were trying to find somebody else. And he was offered the position and he turned it down. Why does this older gentleman talk like that? He sounds like a very charismatic Southern individual, straight out of the movie or something. Because generally when you go, even when you go to the North, don't forget, being a lawyer, it's part presentation. It's not only, it's part presentation, especially a trial lawyer. Because you got to go up in front of people and convince them of your position, right? And you have to convince them in a way that 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 has them agree with your position.
Mr. Ward, we're just holding in place for
you-
taking witnesses out of order. Do you have any updates on Mr. Brad?
So if you notice, he talked very precise, very cordial, very friendly. Everybody's laughing in the courtroom, right? It gives you that connection with him as an attorney. So you'll be more likely to want to see his point of view. It's a really great way. It's a strategic way of owning the room. And you saw when he came in, call him governor, blah, blah, blah. He owned that room. Even the other attorneys on both sides are, the questions are so, blah, blah, blah. He's a good attorney, good lawyer, good reputation, everybody. But that's the type of lawyer. If I needed a lawyer, I want that type of lawyer to represent me, right? Somebody who can own it.
In person.
Understood. All right, Mr. Ward, I think we're going to need continual updates from you, and also some kind of expectation of what this afternoon is going to look like. I was never informed of a medical
Thank you
appointment,
so much.
and I think the notice in this hearing indicated it would last at least 2 days. So right now, I think he's in violation of his subpoena.
So one of the witnesses is not coming.
The counsel was given notice of his doctor's appointment. He missed one yesterday. He took the stand yesterday and really was hoping to be able to finish his testimony yesterday. As he stayed here all day. This appointment started at 9. And it's out of his control with regards to, again, the issues involved with it, as well as being able to be at 2 places at one time. And
yes,
I'm just trying to get more. I mean, we initially been told maybe
Right.
it was going to be 9:30 and 10. Do we have any better idea to get a realistic expectation of when we think we can have him here?
If it's your honor's wish, we can just tell him to come on in, and he'd have to go back to his. He just have to go back to his appointment.
Is he, without getting too much into the particulars, has he already been seen by the doctor and he's waiting for results, or is he still waiting to be seen by a doctor? I'm just,
Both. He's been consulting with his doctor, and they're waiting for results.
and after he gets those results, he was supposed to have another meeting with them today as well. But potentially that meeting could occur later.
After they're able to figure out the purpose of the actual appointment.
Okay. If you can get any kind of an update on how much time they think that those results are going to take. If it's more than an hour or two, I think we would want to start bringing him here, and he can have that follow-up consultation later. All right. Thank you, sir.
Did Your Honor want to take up the 1.6 motion?
At this point, I think we've got something else that can occupy our time, and I think we need to move forward with that. All right.
So the witness
Of
from
course.
yesterday
Yeah,
is at a doctor's
absolutely.
appointment. He's supposed to be
And I
here
didn't learn about
today.
the appointment.
Right. Okay. Understood.
Are they trying to develop
Ms. Cross.
Mr. Abate will,
Mr. John Floyd.
Mr. Floyd, if you could have a seat, sir.
I believe this is the father of Fani Willis. I believe that's who
may I
this
approach
is.
the witness quickly, just.
Thank you. This well-funded testimony should give to the court will be. I do. You may be seated.
True.
Would you please state and spell your full name for the court? My name is John Clifford Floyd III.
Say, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you tell the court, are you currently retired?
Yes, I am.
And prior to being retired, can you tell the court a little bit about, did you work in the legal career? Were you
I was an attorney. I practiced law. I've probably tried 1,000 cases. About
Oh, no, this is
50% of my
about-
practice
this
was
is about the
criminal
father.
law. 25% of it was family law, and the rest was whatever walked through the front door and could pay for it.
Okay. And
Wait 1 second. If governor's come back, he might
I
have.
do. My calendar shows it was October 26, 2021.
All right. And would defense counsel accept it as a stipulation, or is there any follow-up questioning needed on that? And Mr. Barnes is still considered under oath on this point. All right. I'm just going to look for a show of hands or for someone to speak now on Zoom, and hearing none. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Yeah, that's it. So now they got the date.
And sir, can you tell the court, are you from Atlanta?
No, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I spent most of my legal career.
I think it's another person. I'm sorry.
I
I
would
think it's
say
another
in
person.
Washington, D.C. was kind of the
I thought
circle,
this
but
was
I've
her
tried
father.
cases all over the
I
country.
think
And
this is
I
another person she was
tried
trying to
the
hire for the
longest.
case.
I was the first lawyer to try an international criminal court. I was with the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. I was in trial there for 4.5 years in Arusha, Tanzania, and Hague in the Netherlands.
Okay. And when you weren't there, it sounds like your kind of center of gravity was Washington, D.C.
Correct, but I've tried cases in West Virginia, Maryland, Florida, California.
All
Yes.
over.
Yes.
And do you, sir, can you tell the court, do you have any children?
I have one daughter, Fani Willis.
Okay.
Oh,
And
this is our father.
I want to direct your attention back to 2019, okay?
Yes.
Back in
So I
2019,
thought it was another person she hired.
can you
So
tell the
this is
court,
her father.
did you
This is
move
Fani Willis's
here to
father.
Atlanta?
I was living in Johannesburg, South Africa. And unfortunately, for some reasons, I could not get an extended visa. When I retired from the practice of law in 2018, I moved to South Africa. And I had to leave South Africa, and I did then come to Atlanta.
Okay. And do you, sir, remember about the time period in 2019 when you moved in with your daughter here in Atlanta?
It would have been the spring or summer of 2019.
And after you moved here, did you get a driver's license to kind of confirm your residency with Atlanta?
Well, my driver's license for the District of Columbia was going to expire on my birthday, which is in October. And yes, I did get a license here in the state of Georgia.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yeah.
So this is Fani Willis's father. I thought this was another person she was trying to hire. This is her father.
At what's been marked.
Okay, Your Honor, would you, if you don't mind, my eyes are very bad, which is one of the reasons I retired, and so I need a magnifying glass. So I'll be
Whatever you
constantly.
need.
Thank you.
So we're waiting for the dad to say, "I told her always in cash and never on the phone," or something like that. This is
Yes,
what we're talking about,
I
right?
see. It was issued
Always
on
in cash, never on the phone.
9/28/2019.
Okay. So before we get there, do you recognize State's Exhibit 2?
Yes, just my driver's license.
Okay. And it states Exhibit 2, a fair and accurate copy of your physical driver's license.
Absolutely.
This time, Your Honor, the state would tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2 into evidence.
Nope.
Seeing no other objections, it's submitted. State's Exhibit 2 is submitted for the record.
Now, and for the record, Your Honor, the state is going to supplement State's Exhibit 2 with a redacted copy of the license. The current copy is not redacted with the address and things of that nature.
All right. And do we need to mark that differently in any way?
I will mark it as State's Exhibit 2A.
Perfect.
Now, you talked about when your driver's license was issued. Can you tell the court when was that driver's license here, your Georgia driver's license issued?
It was on 9/28/2019.
Okay, so September 28th, 2019. Now, when you moved into District Attorney Willis's home, who lived there?
Well, my daughter lived there. I lived there, and from time to time, my grandchildren would come.
Okay, and did your grandchildren, were they at school coming and going?
Exactly. I think they were in school in various jurisdictions.
And during the time, how long did you live at or with Miss Willis and at her home here in Fulton County?
She was forced to move after she was elected. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole thing, but that, Your Honor, if Your Honor will indulge me. After she was sworn in on January 1 of 2021. And on or about the 3rd of February, at probably 5:30 a.m. in the morning, there were people outside her house cursing and yelling and calling. It was bizarre. something.
Pause, sir. Mr. Abani. Hearsay objection to you.
I would say it's effect on listener. I mean, he was present while all of these things were occurring. But I can.
No, that's, and he's saying he was personally present to hear these things?
Yes.
Okay, overruled.
Okay, and fortunately, the neighbors called the police and disbanded, disbanded the group, and it was just, it was just, I hadn't seen anything exactly like it before.
Okay, and after that happened, can you tell the court, did Ms. Willis have to move from her home?
Yes, she was forced to leave.
Okay, and can you tell the court after she was forced to leave, shortly after she was sworn in, did you remain at her home in Fulton County?
Yes, I stayed there really until 2022, I guess.
And from what you described, did you fear for her safety?
Absolutely. I mean, not only did I do that, I mean, the South Fulton police, they brought somebody, a man with a dog, because there've been so many, and they said they were going to blow up the house. They were going to kill her. They were going to kill children. I mean, on and on and on. It just, it became, and I was concerned for her safety.
And after those concerns came to your attention, and after what you heard and saw that day, you remained at the house?
Yes.
And can you tell the court, with what you just described, why did you remain living at the district attorney's home here in Fulton County?
I don't suppose it's relevant.
Mr. Bobby.
I believe it's relevant based on a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday of Ms. Willis as to about the security threat and the fact that it was implied that those threats were not necessarily real in the sense that Mr. Floyd remained in the home. There were many questions about the fact that he remained and her children could still come and go to the house. I think it's relevant based to the testimony that was elicited from defense counsels yesterday.
Overruled.
Well, these South Fulton police, first they put a car in front of the house that was there permanently.
That's a simple
police car. That was thing one. Thing two, they brought a person with a dog, sometimes more than once a day, twice a day, and they would circle the house to look for bombs. I knew that was a house that my daughter had worked for. It was a brand new house. She's the only one who would ever live there. It's a 4-bedroom, brand new house. And I somebody needed to protect the house. And I stayed there to basically take care of the house, to take care of the yard, to take care of that. Also, somebody sprayed, again, the B word and the N word on the house. And I don't think my daughter even knew that. I cleaned it off and called the police, and South Fulton police. They have, I'm sure, all the records of all the things that happened. And all of the neighbors, I notified all the neighbors to look out and to watch out. And it was so crazy. I mean, it was just so crazy. We'd have people would show up in parked car. There was a guy parked for probably 8 hours out in front of the house. It was just, and we'd call the police and,
Now, at the time that you lived there with Ms. Willis, and I guess even when you remained, so during the time period of 2019 to the end of 2020, are you aware if Ms. Willis was dating someone?
Yeah, she did. She had a boyfriend when I first got there.
And did you meet her boyfriend?
Yeah, I met him often.
Okay, and did you know him by any specific nickname?
Yeah, Deuce.
Okay. And can you tell the court why you were living there? How often would you see him?
Sometimes every day, sometimes, every other day. He was a disc jockey or something, and he had all this paraphernalia that I'd have to move out. There was a thing with the keyboard, things that play music and so forth and so on. So
now, when you moved in 2019, and then throughout the years.
That's a good point. Good point.
Year 2020, 2021, had you ever met someone named Nathan Wade?
I did not meet Nathan Wade until 2023, about a year ago, when a reporter by the name of Issakoff interviewed me. That was the first time I had met him.
You said that was in 2023?
2023, right.
And I know you said you hadn't met him until 2023, but when you were living at Miss Willis's house in Fulton County, did you ever meet Mr. Wade in the year 2019?
Absolutely not.
How about in the year 2020?
Absolutely not.
Do you ever see Mr. Wade at Miss Willis's Fulton County house in the year 2021?
Never.
And is it your testimony that the only time or the first time that you met Mr. Wade was in 2023?
Let me say something. Mr. Wade said that he remembers seeing me, and I do remember some banter. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
That
and
means that
there's kind of this thing that goes on between fraternities. And Mr. Wade is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And they, so they.
Mr. Wade said.
I do remember there was some kind of banter when my daughter was sworn in to be district attorney between me and a couple of guys. And he said he remembers me. I don't remember him.
And prior to that experience that you're talking about, as well as, I guess, your official meeting in 2023, had you ever even heard his name?
No, never.
I don't think I have any further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Ms. Merchant.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine. How are you, counsel?
Good, thank you. Just got a couple questions. On Monday, we heard you were in California. Do you have a place in California?
Yeah, that's true. You should be able to retire in peace.
People always ask me about where do I live. I guess I live right here, sitting in this seat right now. But yes, the answer is I have a place in Los Angeles.
Okay, you do. All right. So do you share time or split time between Los Angeles and Georgia?
That's true, yeah.
Actually, I'm working on a documentary film, and I'm supposed to be being filmed not for this trial, but I'm supposed to be being filmed right now. It was planned, and we had to stop it because they asked me to come here. But the answer is I'm working on a documentary, and I'll be in California until I finish the documentary. If we don't have another actor strike and we don't have another writer strike.
So do you own property in California?
No, I don't. I live with a friend of mine.
Live with a friend of yours. Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you first move? Well, let me qualify with the dates. Did you spend any time in 2019 in California?
No, and the reason I didn't is that when I first came here, the answer is no, I did not. What happened was COVID. Once COVID hit, I was just paralyzed. I couldn't go anyplace. I couldn't go anything. I mean, I'm a theater buff. I used to go to theater at least once a week. But when COVID hit, I just couldn't. I couldn't go to the dentist, which I need to do. Well, it was just a thing. So I was just stuck. I was just stuck there.
I may be wrong, but I believe COVID hit in 2020. So I was asking about 2019. In 2019, did you spend any time in California?
Before COVID was even here in the United States, remember I lived in South Africa and I've traveled the world. I knew COVID was coming before. I knew COVID was around before. They may have announced it in 20, but in fact, I knew about it and I knew what was happening in 19.
Okay, so let's walk through 2019.
In 19.
You said you moved here in September.
What?
So
no, I didn't say that. I moved here probably prior to September. In September is when I got the driver's license. I probably moved in the springtime.
I'm sorry, you did. You said spring, summer. I see that in my notes. So spring, summer 2019 is when you moved here. So up until spring, summer 2019, where did you live?
Spring, summer in 2019. He knew COVID was
I lived in Johannesburg. Well, I lived in Washington, D.C., 2018. I had planned to retire for the rest of my life in South Africa. I had worked for Nelson Mandela and the Free Mandela and get that. And someone I'd gone to law school, he had located there after Mandela was freed from prison and became president. I was going to live there for the rest of my life, but unfortunately, because of political reasons, I could not stay in South Africa, and I was forced, in a sense, to come back to the United States.
So let's just focus in on the period from, let's see, let's just start with October 2019. Okay, we'll call that the relevant period. October 2019 until the end of 2019. Were you in Georgia every single day of that year?
Absolutely.
So now let's move to 2020. Okay. And every single day, before I move on, every single day in 2019, you slept at your daughter's house, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So let's start in 2020. All right. So 2020, the entire year, did you travel anywhere?
No.
You didn't travel at all that year?
No.
So,
and I didn't go to the movies, which upset me also.
So that entire year, 2020,
April,
you remained here in Georgia.
Right.
In 2021, did you do any traveling?
No.
So when did you move back, or when did you start this documentary film in Los Angeles?
What I had been doing to occupy time as I was writing my own memoir. As I delved into my family background, I discovered something, and that's what got me to working on the documentary. So I want you to understand what was going on in my life. I pitched I have a movie script called Bad Blood. I have a movie script trying to sell. So I tried to sell that. And I just happened to mention something that happened during the civil rights movement. SNCC, it's called the SNCC 5. The legendary Peter Fitzsimmons was interested. And so with Peter Fitzsimmons and Leah Smith, we're now doing the documentary. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but what I was asking was when you moved to Los Angeles, not what you moved there for.
Well, you keep saying moved. I haven't moved to Los Angeles. I spent more time in California, in Oakland, if you really want to just be, because Peter is basically San Francisco based. So we're working on the documentary.
Okay.
I was in Los Angeles because I was going to the Pan-African Film Festival. And that's why we were there. And the way Hollywood works is, you know, when you make connections, and film festivals are a place to try to sell ideas and meet people and organize things.
You still own property in Washington, D.C., correct?
No, I don't.
You don't own property at 1467 Roxana Road Northwest?
That's where I used to live.
That's where you used to live. Did
Right.
you own that property?
Yes.
Okay. And you owned that property when you moved here in 2019?
Yes.
And you owned it in 2020, correct?
Well, now you talk about a very complicated issue. I left the property. There was a dispute between me, and I had gotten a reverse mortgage company. And there was a dispute between me and that. And I just, I walked away from it.
Okay. You walked away from it with almost $300,000?
Yeah, what is the relevance of that?
Yeah.
Where he lived and registered to vote. That's what they brought in. So that's.
Why is the money he got from the sale relevant at all?
It's the only proof I have of that he owned that address. So I can move on though. Okay.
Yeah.
When did you sell that property?
I didn't. The reverse mortgage company took it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So in 2019, when you got your driver's license here,
Yes.
the next day you registered to vote, correct?
I think it may have been the same day, but maybe it was the next day. I don't remember.
But you didn't own property here in Georgia that day?
No, I was living with my daughter.
You said that you met Mr. Wade, that you remember you met in 2023, right? That was the first time you
Correct.
remember? Okay. And I wasn't really clear. You said something about meeting him. Was it with Mr. Isikoff, or did Mr. Isikoff tell you?
No, I was being interviewed by Mr. Isikoff.
Okay.
And he walked in, and I met him. That was the first time. He walked into the office, and
Where were you being interviewed?
at the district attorney's office.
And Mr. Wade walked into that interview?
Yes.
And so Ms. Willis had not told you about Mr. Wade prior to that.
Absolutely not.
So she didn't tell you anything about their relationship before you met him that day.
No.
But Mr. Wade remembers meeting you in 2020?
Yeah.
He said that at my daughter's swearing in. I do remember that we having some banner about fraternities, but other than that,
Oh, at your daughter swearing in. Okay.
right.
That's all I have. Just one moment, Judge. Nothing else. Thank you.
Yeah, this line of questioning was for what? I don't get like that was all. It just was
Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, counsel?
I'm fine.
for what?
I'll try to ask you some specific questions if we could, okay?
And I'll give specific answers if I can.
Perfect.
Okay.
The driver's license address, I'm not going to publish. That is State's Exhibit number 2. But is the address on that driver's license the home that you're referring to as your daughter's in South Fulton?
Absolutely.
And it was unclear to me, maybe no one else, but it's unclear to me, when did you stop living at what I would call your daughter's home in South Fulton?
Things got so bad and threats got so many, even against me, that the house became basically uninhabitable. I got tired of sleeping in one room one day and one that. I would say December of 2022, something like that.
December of 2022.
Right. That's about right. Yeah.
Now, let me change and go back for another date. You had indicated, and I didn't hear it. When was your daughter, Miss Willis, when was she sworn in as district attorney?
On January 1, 2021.
Okay. And did you indicate that there was an incident, and I know you've described it, was that incident on February the 3rd, 2021?
That's my best recollection.
Okay. So my question then is, after February 3rd of 2021, how much longer did Miss Willis stay at the house before she moved somewhere else?
Very short period of time, and I cannot be precise, but I would bet all the money I ever made, it wasn't more than a month and a half, if that long.
Okay, so we're talking about, best of your recollection, end of February into the beginning of March, give or take, of 2021, when Miss Willis would have moved to a different location.
Exactly.
Okay. And did Miss Willis return to the house, that is the house that you were in, at any point in time that you can remember?
From time to time, she and her security might show up for her to pick something up or take something or something, but she always would come with her security.
Okay. My question was poorly worded, I apologize. Did she come back permanently to her house?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
So as far as you're aware, that once Miss Willis left the house, her house, South Fulton House, so the record's clear, in either late February or into March of 2021, best of your recollection, she's not returned to that home to live.
No, it became uninhabitable. It just,
That's okay.
I would have to walk around that house looking out of every window. I made a habit of having to walk around the whole house. I got lights so that if somebody would come at night in the back, so that those kinds of reflecting lights, I had those put up.
I don't mean to, again,
yeah,
you off.
okay.
All I was interested in is whether she had ever returned.
No, the answer is no.
Okay. Now, when Miss Willis, when your daughter left the home, time period, end of February, beginning of March, give or take 2021, do you know where she moved to?
No, and I didn't want to know. I intentionally did not want to know.
Let's question them.
Because I was not, if somebody stuck a gun to my head and I could tell them, I wasn't going to tell them anyway. I'd have made up something, but I didn't want to know.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that if you didn't want to know, you never visited her at the place that she moved to?
Oh, I never did.
Never did.
Never did.
Okay. Do you know how long she stayed at the first place that she went to after she left her house before she moved to a second place?
What I know, and this is hearsay, counsel, is that my daughter has had to move something like 4 times.
But do you know any potential?
No, I don't know any place. I was taken one time for Christmas Day. I've only seen my daughter, and this is very hard for me to say, but during the period my daughter left, I've only seen my daughter 13 times because I can't, and we've never seen each other more than maybe 3 hours because of, the nightmare threats against her and me.
And I understand that. And from the perspective of being a father myself, I understand what that means. So I'm going to move away from that. I was just trying to get an idea of date wise. Okay. So let me try to get one more date. In 2023, when you were being interviewed by one of the gentlemen that wrote the book at the DA's office, and Mr. Wade came in, can you give us, other than 2023, what the date would be?
I'm sorry, I can't, Counsel.
How about spring, summer? Any idea?
I would guess spring or summer, but I can't. I don't. I'm sorry.
And you've already indicated, at least to your recollection, that was the first time that you'd met Mr. Wade.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you about that. I want to go to Miss Willis's boyfriend that you referenced. Okay, you met Miss Willis's boyfriend, as you've characterized it, when you came here in 2019.
Correct.
And you met him on one occasion, several occasions?
Oh, no, I saw him often.
Oh, so you mean there was no secret that she was dating this man?
Not from me.
Not from you.
And not, he was a disc jockey of some kind. I think he had a government job during the day. I don't know what it was, but apparently he would do weddings and so forth and so on. He was a disc jockey, play music. So he had all his stuff was always in the way, and I was always having to try to push it aside. And,
he had all stuff at the house.
But Miss Willis, your daughter didn't keep him from you, correct?
No.
I mean, there was no doubt.
We lived in, my daughter and I lived in the same house. I mean, he came and went,
Right. Now, when did you learn that your daughter had a romantic personal relationship with Mr. Wade?
Well, about 7 weeks ago when as a matter of fact, I just found out when other folks found out.
That is, your daughter, as I understand it, never told you one time in the year of 2022 that she was dating Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
And until recently, you didn't know from anyone, including your daughter, that she dated Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
That is, whatever the relationship is between father and daughter, she kept that a secret from you, correct?
Secret relationship.
Correct.
Remember, they said it wasn't
That's
a
all I need
secret.
to know.
Remember, that was yesterday, the big thing. It wasn't a secret. We just kept it private. But he just got him to confess that it was a secret from him. That he knew everything, right? That's what that line of question was.
Good morning. Correct. Good morning, Counsel.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Oh, no, no. See,
here it is.
Excuse me, and Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a black thing, okay?
What's a black thing?
I was trained.
What are you talking about?
Most black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash.
I'm black and I'm not hiding no cash.
No, I train. You always keep some cash because I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin. For example, I took a fellowship at Harvard when my daughter was just if I might, Your Honor, when I was just she was just maybe 3 years old, and I remember going to a restaurant in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I had American Express credit card and maybe a Visa or whatever, and I had a lot of what they call traveler's checks. I don't even know if they still have traveler's checks. And there was a sign said, with the credit card.
I'm not
black. For whatever reasons, the man would not take my American Express credit card. So I pulled out my Visa card, and he wouldn't take my Visa card. So then I pulled out my traveler's checks. He said, we don't take checks. Now, these were traveler's checks. This was money. I had a $10 bill. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And he said, the bill for my wife at the time, Fani's mother, Fani, and myself was like $9.95, and I had a $10 bill. That was all that. I always remember that. But even before that, I've always kept cash. You know,
So he
and
goes
I've
into
told
a
my
store
daughter,
that's cash
you keep
only,
6 months
and he's trying to
worth
pay
of cash always. For example, I had 3 safes in my house.
three safes.
I put some of my clients' stuff there too, things I didn't want other lawyers to be, I mean, because you're always in a firm, and I knew that there were special conditions. So
Yeah.
some of my clients' things I would bring home,
It's a little
put them in the
sketchy.
safe. But I've
It's a
always
little
kept
sketchy.
safes. And as a matter of fact, I gave my daughter her first cash box and told her always keep some cash.
So is that a yes?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's all I got, Judge.
Mr. Durham.
No
So,
questions.
so she's
Mr.
following
McDougal.
exactly what her father said. Keep it 6 months worth.
Thank you. Mr. Rice.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Gillen.
He got 3 safes at the house. It's a black thing. You got to be a black person to understand it. How many black people in the chat keeps $10,000 worth of cash? Not using
It's still
credit
morning.
cards?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Consul. How are you?
Just fine. Just a few questions following up. When you were talking about when you learned about Mr. Wade and your daughter, correct?
Correct.
Now, did your daughter tell you in around October of 2022 that she had gone on a
Yeah.
Caribbean cruise with Mr. Wade to the Bahamas?
The answer is I knew that my daughter had gone, but I did not know who she went with or what the circumstances were. So I knew that she had gone out of town, but I didn't know with whom.
I see. And did she tell you in November
She's going on cruising
of
with this guy.
2022 that she had gone to Aruba
Aruba with this
and
guy.
stayed at a Hyatt Regency resort there in Aruba for 3 days with Mr. Wade? Did she tell you that?
The answer was, again, I knew she went out of town. I didn't even know where she went. I knew she was going out of town. She told me she was going out of town. I think she might have said she was going out of the country or something. She'd be gone.
Yeah.
But other than that,
point.
that was all.
Okay. And did she
Very
tell
good
you in March of
And I say it's a black
2023
thing
that she
because it makes
was going to Belize for
you
several
don't
days
question
with
it.
Mr.
If you
Wade?
question it, then
It's the
You're
same
racist.
answer that I knew she would tell me she was going out of town. And she may or may not have told me where she was
$7,000 in
going,
cash.
but she'd be gone for a couple of days.
Okay. Now in 2023, you were in many days you would be out in California, correct?
Some days I'd be in California, correct?
Okay. Well, did she tell you in May of 2023 that she was traveling to Napa Valley with Mr. Wade, so maybe y'all could see each other when she visited California with Mr.
Good
Wade?
question.
The answer is no.
And so the first time that you ever met Mr. Wade or learned about Mr. Wade, to your recollection, was in 2023?
That's correct.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
That's a good.
Mr.
That's
Kucherov.
good. She was in so
On
she
Zoom.
went to
Just a couple
California
quick
near where he
questions.
was at and didn't even.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah,
I know I
that's
can't
smart.
see you.
Smart.
I can't see you either,
see
but
they
take a
met and
moment.
put
Good morning,
little
Counsel.
dates together.
We take
That
a
was
moment.
smart.
Let's just pause, see if we can change the screens to show Mr. Kucherov.
That was smart. That was
Okay.
smart. I didn't even realize they had.
Your Honor, I'm on a
She's over
I'm
there
on a
with
phone,
Wade.
so it's kind of difficult.
Can you turn your screen on though?
I'm trying to.
So I'm supposed there's none of you white people out there keep cash in the house, huh? It's a black thing. I don't know. You keep some cash in the house? Yeah, but I don't know about tens of thousands of dollars or 6 months worth of cash. What the hell does that mean anyway? What I got 6
That
months
work?
worth of rent? If your rent's $2,000,
Just
6
hold
months is
one more moment.
$12,000.
All right, there we go. You can
Gold
proceed,
bar.
Mr. Kucherov.
Sir,
Yeah, when you say
you
6
seem
months
to
worth of
know
cash,
about the
what
issue
is
of
that?
cash in this transaction. You said it was a black thing. How did you know that the cash was going to be an issue in this testimony?
Because I was asked for it and I was prepped by the lawyers and they asked me about it.
See? Prepped by the lawyers. They asked me about it. How
What
did you know it
else?
was going to be an issue?
And did you speak with Mr. Wade about your testimony?
No.
Did you speak with your daughter about your testimony?
She may have been present when the lawyers were. I really don't remember.
If Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
What are you? I'm not understanding your question.
This guy's
Counsel.
getting up.
So maybe you want to
Getting up.
restate. What is it that you're asking me?
Yeah, if it wasn't clear, I can
You're
re-ask the question. I'll rephrase it.
Yeah, right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Wade,
please do.
if Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
Yeah.
I did not know that they were dating.
Judge,
And when were you talking about the cash? I didn't know that. I don't know what you're asking me. What I told my child from the time she was a child is always have some money. Always have some money. If you go on a date so that people don't try to stick you and you want to leave whoever, always keep some cash, okay?
Mr. Floyd, you answered the question that the attorneys prepped you for that. So that's all I wanted to know.
Anything else, Mr. Kucherov?
That's it, Your Honor.
To say.
All right, Mr. Cromwell.
No questions, Your Honor.
That pause,
Rabani?
yeah, that pause.
Your
They
Honor.
got him.
Mr. Floyd,
That
now,
got
it
him.
wasn't common for your daughter to confide in you about her romantic life at all.
No, and I haven't confided in her about mine before when I had one, okay?
Hate him.
And you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend. The
Hey,
disc
Debs.
jockey. Is that an objection?
I think that might have just been still
Yeah.
off mute.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Now, you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend, the disc
Yeah.
jockey, had you not been living with her, correct?
That's correct.
I'll allow overruled.
I have nothing further.
Did he answer the question?
Yeah, he answered it.
All right. By show of hands, any redirect on those points only? Ms. Merchant.
I just want to know when you were prepped by the lawyers, when this prep session was.
I just got off the plane on, what was it, Tuesday night? I think I was probably drooling at the mouth. I was so tired. So it must have been,
Last night?
I got in Wednesday.
Was
It must have been
last night?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And did you talk about any of the testimony from yesterday or watch any news reports or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Luca, you can't cut the TV on without seeing this. The first,
He was
first
prepped. He
thing, and
watched
I listen to
everything.
conservative radio a lot, and last night for 5 hours,
He knows what
all
to
they
say,
talked
his
about was his
testimony.
case.
Yes, his
So
testimony.
you were aware
was-
of what the testimony your daughter gave yesterday was?
And his
Yeah,
testimony
I mean, how could, I mean,
that just destroys
unless
his
you
whole
don't
credibility.
cut the radio on, unless you don't cut the television on, unless you don't
he's a-
read the
but you're an
AJC
attorney,
or
you
any
know
other, the New York
why the
Times or
left
whatever,
not to
which
listen
I
to
do
it,
every
right?
day. Yeah, of course.
So is it fair to say nobody instructed you that you were under the rule of sequestration?
Right, and I'm not under subpoena either.
Thank you.
That just destroys his whole
All right,
credibility
anything
of the
else?
case because he could just align.
Seeing and hearing
his
none.
thing with
Thank you,
that.
Mr. Floyd.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
They got
It's a
him.
pleasure to appear in front of Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Ms.
they asked. He said
Cross,
no.
let me check in. Was the state planning to call additional witnesses?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Well, people,
We're
keep
being,
trash.
trying to accommodate if there's a
Steelers
lapse
Sure.
in
forever.
schedule to
Uh-oh.
be able to this afternoon. But right now, that was last.
Okay, so even if
Go.
Mr. Bradley testifies to some extent, there's still the potential that the state has no further witnesses?
They got
I
him now.
anticipate at least one more will be available this afternoon.
That was a
but
waste.
that
would
be it.
I
Okay,
couldn't
so
help
there
the
are
defense at
potentially
the end.
more
That two
state's
little thing
witnesses.
about
All
the
right.
whole.
Correct. Before we move on, I'd move to strike the last witness's testimony because of violation of the rule of sequestration.
Yes.
All right, so
We're going to strike his testimony. I would
I think
strike it.
the
I would move
rule
that.
is invoked and the instruction was for the parties to
Yes.
tell all witnesses subpoenaed or expected to appear about the rule.
Yep.
I don't think the remedy is necessarily striking. I think it
What?
can go also to this credibility as well. So to that
All right, so
extent,
they go into his
I'll-
credibility. Okay.
unless Ms. Cross, you want something else to be heard on that.
I would strike it, but it's
point
right.
is made.
Going to his credibility. It's
All
got
right,
to. He's aligned his testimony with his daughters.
Do we have an
He's
update
watched
from Mr.
everything.
Bradley?
So, in other words, that was a win for the defense. Yeah, they got him.
Okay, then what I think we should do is have these preliminary conversations about privilege, see if we can make any headway, and then take our afternoon break. So to that end, counselors, I don't know if you just want to argue in place there or go to the table, whatever makes you comfortable. But
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Chopra, I think
He's not from the
maybe
Depression
it was
era, though.
relayed to you
He's
since
from
you
the
weren't in the
50s.
court earlier
Like
this
from the 40s
morning.
and 50s. He's not
We
that- he's
had
not-
some initial
Depression was a
conversations about the distinction between the
Um,
privilege and Rule 1.6.
that
And it sounded
moment
like
he
you
messed-
wanted to
yeah,
be heard on
he
that.
messed up. He got caught out there.
Your Honor, it was brought to my attention.
Thanks for
I
getting
apologize
membership.
because I don't have
Yeah, he got caught out there.
thanks.
What do you need?
Well, a copy of the case in front of me would be helpful, but it's not necessary. It would just take me a second to keep looking at my phone to respond to the court.
Whatever you need to do.
Your Honor, I believe case for in anticipation of piercing the rule 1.6 is owns Corning Fiberglass versus American Centennial. Is that correct? Pardon me, Your Honor. It's difficult here in council. Could you?
Yeah. And there's a microphone there at the jury box. You can try to
Hear what he's saying. Thank you, Your Honor.
either try to lift that microphone up and speak in the jury box or make your way over to the podium or table. Sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
Is that any better?
All right. And no, that was authority provided by Mr. Sadow over our morning recess. And I think that was indicated to go more towards a potential crime fraud argument. I don't think we've really gotten there yet.
It's not crime fraud per se. It's the same notion. It's fraud on the court, different proposition.
Okay.
But yes, and to
Fraud on the court.
privilege waiver.
Right.
1.6 confidentiality and secrets waiver.
The case that I had cited to this morning showing the distinction between the two was tenant healthcare. So that's where we were on the threshold issue. Did you have something that you wanted to address on that?
I've not been able to review that, Your Honor. I was unfortunately unaware.
Just so we all know what they're talking about is
Mr.
the
Bradley?
whether the lawyer can testify and under what he can. 6 months
Remind me
worth.
why you are here.
You're just assisting.
About 2 months worth of cash on my safe. All right, 2 months is okay.
Assisting with the counsel, his counsel.
Okay, so you are co-counsel on this.
Oh, this morning when you were asking where he was, I had to make sure everybody knew.
Now the quick question: are you black?
That's what I was doing, just informing you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, this is, but the judge is saying it's tenant.
Right. And the citation for that is 273 Georgia 206.
Good point. That was a missed
I'll give you
opportunity.
time to review that.
Damn good
In
point.
the meantime, what other things that you want me to know? And perhaps at this point, we just take our break now, unless you also want to talk about the questionings that were provided by Ms. Merchant, seeing if there's anything we can achieve.
So that I can be clear, it is apparent that at this point, we're going to go into whether or not
Good point, Jeff.
1.6 provides privilege for Mr. Wade.
It doesn't,
even
though.
He has specifically stated that he does not waive that privilege. Therefore, it would be incumbent upon the court to issue an order to demand that Mr. Bradley, over and above the privilege afforded in 1.6, is required to testify. Is that correct?
That's right. That's what we covered this morning.
And so I would ask the court, is the court then going to travel under the fraud exception?
We haven't quite gotten there. We haven't decided whether attorney-client privilege applies. I think there are some other things that we would have to do to, I think we got held up yesterday on 1.6. As I understood it, I was waiting to hear from you whether we are now beyond that. And then if we're in the land of attorney-client privilege and only attorney-client privilege, so Rule 505, then I think Mr. Sadow has some arguments on crime fraud. And I think there's also just the general arguments of, does it exist? Were certain statements in furtherance? Does Mr. Bradley have any knowledge independent of those?
Certainly,
Right.
and in order to keep the court abreast, yes, we are still traveling under, there should be a privilege afforded to Mr. Wade under 1.6, and we are aware of how they will try to convince the court that that should be overcome. So I hopefully I can read this
Sure.
case in less
Okay.
than 5 minutes.
All right, that's fine. Anything, I guess, as he reads that, let's do this. Assuming we do get beyond 1.6, if you can work with me here, anything we want to add to that?
I'm afraid I would have to hear what the arguments were
For the
that got us
1.6.
past 1.6,
Okay.
Judge. I'm not here to insinuate to the court.
1.6 is
something else.
confidentiality. Everything you
But
tell
there
your
was a
lawyer is
line of questioning that
confidential.
Ms. Merchant
That's
decided to write
1.6,
out and
but
share
that
with the
doesn't
parties.
mean
Were
it's
there any initial
attorney-client
thoughts,
privilege.
comments, reactions
So
to
that's
that?
what you
Again,
keep
just
hearing.
trying to make sure
1.6.
we
1.6
make the best
is
use of Mr. Bradley's time.
everything you
once
tell
he
your lawyer is
arrives.
confidential,
Your Honor,
but
I
that
just
doesn't
wanted
mean
to
it's
say that,
privileged.
That might just reiterate that my client has not waived the attorney-client privilege. The questions that we reviewed this morning, Mr. Bradley is not able to testify about anything relating to Wade's marriage or dating history after December 2018. That's going to be the operative date. Nor does any of the questions Mr. Bradley cite to any external knowledge or sources. Anything he will say would be derived entirely from privileged communication with our clients. So we just want to renew our approach.
Okay, so certainly the assertion of the privilege is confirmed and for the
Mr.
record.
Goodman, remember.
And I think, again, this is where we got held up yesterday is that I know
1.6
you're
to
asserting
cover
that
the
certain
privilege.
answers to these questions would be covered by privilege. I think there's still some boxes we would need to check before we can confirm that. And we'd have to check those boxes with Mr. Bradley before we can get there.
Certainly, Judge.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then let's break until 1 o'clock. All right, thank you all.
All right, they'll be back in about an hour. Well, that was exciting and interesting. I think that the thing about the case this morning, though, so now they're going to lunch. So just so people understand where we're at. Coming back after lunch, which I'm probably not going to do the afternoon, but the issue here is the attorney, Wade's attorney. And I just want to make sure we're clear before everybody leaves to understand what's happening this afternoon. Wade's divorce attorney, he is being asked to testify as to really one simple question. When did the relationship initially start? Now, the reason why this is important, because don't forget, we have two people, Wade and Willis, under oath saying the relationship started in 2022. But then we have another witness who's also under oath, under penalty of perjury, saying it started in 2019. So Wade's attorney, his divorce attorney, has gotten on the stand and said, I'm saying this is attorney-client privilege information, what he told me about when the relationship started. So now there's two rules for attorneys that have been invoked. One, the attorney-client privilege, which is Mr. Wade's, which he says that he wants to keep. And the second is the duty of confidentiality from lawyers to clients. Now, the way the rule works is that everything my client tells me is essentially confidential, right? But just between me and him. I can't go and tell the client's business or anything like that. But there are certain things that are not only confidential, but are attorney-client, right? If he's asking me about particular legal advice, for instance. So there's a possibility where you can have everything that's privileged is confidential, but not everything that's confidential is privileged. So that's what they're trying to figure out. That's why they keep saying 1.6. They're trying to say, okay, what parts of the conversation are confidential, meaning he can testify to them, and then what parts of the conversation are privileged, meaning that he cannot. So the state's argument is that, or the Mr. Wade's argument is that everything that is confidential is privileged because it's all for in furtherance of legal. But the other side is saying, no, there are certain things that are privileged and certain things that are confidential. If it's only confidential, then you have to testify to it. Yesterday, Wade's attorney, his divorce attorney, got on the stand and didn't say I'm invoking attorney-client privilege. It's a privilege. He says I'm invoking it's all confidential. 1.6. So now the judge is saying, okay, does 1.6 does 1.6 can I have him testify to some things that are covered under confidentiality because they're not covered under, so that's what they're trying to figure out now. Now it seems like the judge, now to be fair, it's going to be hard to parse out what's confidential versus attorney-client privilege because it's so close. But that's what they're going to try to do now. If they can get that attorney to admit that the relationship started before 2022, when they both said, then that's a damning piece of evidence. Now, another thing I want to just go over before I go finish hitting up the super chats and some other questions in the chat is that the father's credibility is essentially destroyed. I would have, if I'm the judge, you strike that, right? The reason why is that he's number one, he's an attorney, so he knows the rules, right? As an attorney, he knows the rules of sequestration, meaning if you're being called to a case, you're not supposed to look at, review any testimony. You're supposed to go in cold and just get the truth, right? You're not supposed to review testimony to align your testimony with other people, right? That's why they tell you if you're a witness, you can't come into the court. Her father, who is a lawyer, knows this. Or at least he should know this, right? But I believe he knows this. So that's why at the end, when they asked those questions, did you speak to your daughter about it? There was a long pause because he understood that if he admits cops to it, but you got all these other people in the room. His daughter's probably in the room, so he had to cop to it. Yeah, I talked to her about this. Did you now read it in the newspaper and everything? I couldn't avoid it. So what that does is say everything that he said that was helpful, could be helpful to Fani Willis's case, is essentially not credible because right now you can make the argument, which the judge, I'm assuming, has to do, is that he aligned what he was saying to what they were, to the testimony he heard yesterday, to what does to help his daughter out. That's why. But now the judge said, I'm not going to strike it, but it obviously is going to affect the credibility of this witness. Now, to me, that destroys his credibility, right? Because essentially he's just saying you can't say their testimony was consistent because, of course, it's going to be consistent if he heard exactly what she said. He's just going to say exactly what she said, and it's going to be consistent. So that's in terms of, can you trust what the father is saying? So as of right now, I can't trust anything the father's saying. The father's testimony is, to me, just all for naught because he just said essentially we just not only told him to say, but I believe that they had a conversation and what the lawyers told him to say, but then what he also heard from the testimony yesterday. Some people keep large amounts of cash because they don't trust the banks, pay contractors, blah, blah. I understand that. I do understand that, but again, I just don't believe it, because then you got these two people are keeping large amounts of cash, but then in everything else they're paying Cash App. I don't know. And you're talking about $500 to $15,000, and she's talking about the father says keep 6 months. What does 6 months mean? What does that mean? What does keeping 6 months worth of cash mean? Does that mean 6 months worth of mortgage? Does it mean 6 months worth of expenses? Right? Because if you have the average expenses for a household is what, $2,000? So 6 months is $12,000. You're supposed to keep $12,000 in cash. Does most people do that? Is that normal for people to do nowadays? Most people don't have $10,000 in the bank. But again, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And again, she has receipts for all these other things, but the only thing she doesn't have receipts for is the cash she allegedly gave this guy. TJM, Kyle Rayner is the only correct answer. Everybody always tries to challenge my comic book knowledge, even with all this stuff behind here. But yeah, I like Kyle Rayner. Anyone else notice that his answers on course were preceded with the answer is, however, everything else was a narrative of his own memories. We love Nate the lawyer. Thank you. Yeah, the father's his testimony is garbage. I don't believe anything he's talking about. I'm well, some of the facts I think he's telling being truthful, but his testimony is fugazi. It's just kind of like it is what it is. It's I would have struck in it, especially now that I know he's aligned his testimony with his daughters and watched all the trial from yesterday and all this stuff. Yeah, so. And I like the fact that I watch conservative media. What happens? I wonder what he thinks about the Trump case, right? What happens if Bradley lies to cover up Wade? That would be bad. If you can prove that he's lying, he loses law license, he loses career, he loses everything, and could go to jail. Is there any way? I think that's the reason why they don't want him to testify. Is there a way to verify what he's saying? I mean, possibly. And how bad would it be if he says that it started dating 2009? That essentially means that Wade committed perjury. That's how bad it is. Wade technically, would have committed perjury, and Fani Willis would have committed perjury when they told the court that they did, especially even on, because remember, they were both took the stand and said that shit too. So yeah, so it would be bad. It would be horrible for them all. It would be the worst possible outcome. They would probably lose their law licenses if a court perjuring themselves on the stand. Yes. The DA even gave the dinner analogy. Yes. That's good catch. But wouldn't her credibility take a hit too? Yes. I think it would. I think Fani's credibility would take a hit. I think it took a hit today too when you said, "Did you speak to your daughter about it?" That long pause, it kind of gave up the game. Let's look at that part. Let's look at that part one more time. Let me put that back up. That long pause, because I think that long pause, that was the game. Let me see. It's toward the end. It's when this guy, the Zoom guy was good. Zoom guy was on point.
Have some money. Always have some.
You wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
I didn't know. Always.
I think it was toward the end.
Mr. Abadi?
Your Honor, I knew about her romantic life.
Didn't hear about my.
And
off mute.
Okay. Had you not been living with her?
Hold on, I'm trying to see.
Drew
What was
in
that
it
question?
Wednesday.
Or anything like that.
Oh,
And
I get
prepped by the lawyers.
Points only.
Oh, here it is. Let's see.
I just want to know when you were prepped.
So this is when he was prepped.
And you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend. The
Hey, Deb.
romantic life.
I'm trying to ask when they
answer the question that the attorneys prepped you for.
okay.
Mr. Floyd, you answered the question.
So that people don't try to stick you and you want to leave whoever.
Question that the attorneys prepped you for that. So that's all I wanted to know.
No questions, Your Honor.
Let me look back. Try to find that point.
No number. Said it was a black thing.
I like how this guy comes in. It was a black thing.
Transaction. You said it was a black thing. How did you know that the cash was going to be an issue in this testimony?
This is it.
Because I was asked for it and I was prepped by the lawyers and they asked me about it. What else?
And did you speak with Mr. Wade about your testimony?
No.
Here it
Did you
is.
speak with your daughter about your testimony?
Oh shit.
She may have been present when the lawyers were. I really don't remember.
2 days
If
ago.
Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
What are you? Maybe
Yes.
I'm not understanding your question, counsel. So maybe you want to restate. What is it that you're asking me?
Yeah, if it wasn't clear, I can re-ask the question. I'll rephrase it.
Yeah, right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Wade,
please do.
if Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter.
But that was the question to ask, right? And then that leads to the follow-ups, because the follow-ups
Just got off the prior.
so the follow-ups are the thing that'll kill her.
I have nothing further.
Points on
In this prep session.
Here it is. The follow-ups are the killers. Now, these were the first was
I
the
just got off
slash.
the plane.
Here are the daggers.
What was it, Tuesday night? I think I was probably drooling at the mouth. I was so tired. So it must have been, I got in Wednesday. It must have been Wednesday.
And did you talk about any of the testimony from yesterday or watch any news reports?
This
or
is
anything
it.
like that?
Oh, absolutely. Google, you can't cut the TV on without seeing this. The first thing, and I listen to conservative radio a lot, and
This destroys all his testimony, all his credibility, all that testimony, all that goes out the window. Right there. He's watched the thing, he's watched this, he's listened to conservative radio, he's doing everything about the trial. This is a lawyer. It's a lawyer. He knows the rules, he knows the game. Right? That's my point. I'm like, this is a lawyer on it. It's not just some regular witness who they didn't tell. This is a lawyer who was prepped by the team. And you're telling me he's pretending he didn't know the rules of the sequestration? He didn't know he's not supposed to look at the testimony and watch all this stuff? Really? Come on. Of course, his thing is done. As a boomer, yes, to have cash, yeah. As a Texan, keep firearm too. Amen to that. And I case someone wants to borrow it without my permission. Does the father travel with his safes? Oh yeah, he said he had like 3 or 4 safes, right? He had a lot of safes. They should ask whether they should have asked what else has she paid in cash. That's true. Because the vacations are expensive to pay in cash, though. Only cash for those vacations. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because those are big money items. Sounds rehearsed, which is why I tell my peeps, don't call me to testify because I won't lie. My cheeks clap for nobody. My cheeks are gonna clap for nobody. It's true. The whole keep cash because the banks would fail is moot. If because don't forget FDIC, for instance. So if unless you got over 100 grand in cash, so something that bad were to happen, banks fail. No amount of gold or cash. That's true. Gold will save you, but cash may, especially if you got hyperinflation. I always hide cash where I'm afraid to live, which didn't make any sense. I agree. Fanny debit, no credit card, used overseas, reverse mortgages, property tax issues. Family is historically broke. Yes, it seems like. I believe the YSL defendants are glued to the Fulton County Jail on TV. They never imagined being rooting for Trump and his associates. They're rooting for him. Yeah. And I can assume some of this testimony is going to be like, hey, the DA is paying everything with cash too. What the hell, right? We pay cash, she pay cash. It's a normal thing. It's a black thing. Right? If I'm the defendant in the rap, she's got a whole bunch of rappers that she's charging with RICO crimes. Yeah, if it ever comes up, why am I paying in cash? I'm like, just like this, it's a black thing. She knows, they know it's a black thing. So I think the father's testimony essentially is garbage. It's finished. It's nothing. I don't know. Cash is always king, baby. Cash is always king. You know that. So it's done in the morning. It's an afternoon session. I'm going to go get some lunch. I got 4,700 people watching. Please hit that like button on the way out. At least and hit the subscribe button if you can. Just, this button is nothing. Like, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. We learned a lot today. We learned a lot about Fani Willis. We learned a lot about her father. We learned about her family. But I still don't think, I still honestly think they got a problem. This is not. It's the father wasn't credible. I'm sorry. He's an older black man. I understand he's there for his daughter, but that last thing that he said, it just he destroyed all his credibility with that. If he wasn't a lawyer, I would understand, but he is a lawyer. He knows what the hell these rules are. He should. He should. It was it's worse because Fani slipped up yesterday when she said when she said when you speak to him, I would say it shoves that both were aware they would be called as witnesses. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Hold on one second. I mean, people are hitting me up everywhere. But I will say this. I keep cash because it's I can't even say it because it's so stupid. It's like, yeah, I keep cash in the house because it's a black thing. No. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to end with this part. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I think I think Trump's attorney or the attorney for the defendant didn't make she made the right argument, but I don't think she made it compelling enough because you got to mention it. This is a fucking attorney we're talking about. Listen to when she said to strike his testimony.
So to that extent,
Yesterday was.
Yeah, unless you don't cut the radio on,
Yeah, you're not supposed to cut the radio on. You're not supposed to do all that stuff.
don't cut the television on, unless you don't read the.
So is it fair to say nobody instructed you that you were under the rule of sequestration?
Right, and I'm not under subpoena either.
Thank you.
That's all she needed to know. Now she goes.
All right, anything else?
He gets dismissed.
Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. It's a pleasure to appear in front of you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cross, let me check in. Was
she? Oops. I'm sorry. I muted myself. I'm thinking, yeah, I hit the mute button by accident. Sorry. When she now goes up and asks for his testimony to be stricken from the record, she needs to make sure that she mentions at this point that he is a legal professional. He knows the rules of sequestration. He intentionally violated it. And then came to court and said all this stuff. So that's what I think. That's what she needs to say now. So let's see what she said. Now listen to the way she says it. Yes, that's a boomer. That's a certified boomer moment. I actually hit the wrong button, but we're moving forward.
Is the state planning to call additional witnesses?
Not at this time, Your Honor. We're trying to accommodate if there's a lapse in schedule to be able to this afternoon. But right now, that was our last witness.
Okay, so even if Mr. Bradley testifies to some extent, it's still
Available.
State's witness invoked.
I hear this.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are potentially more state's witnesses. All right.
Judge, before we move on, I'd move to strike the last witness's testimony because of violation of the rule of sequestration.
That's all she said. Strike because violation of the rules of sequestration. But you gotta give him more. Gotta give him more.
All right, so I think the rule is invoked and the instruction was for the parties to tell all witnesses subpoenaed or expected to appear about the rule. I don't think the remedy is necessarily striking. I think it can go also to this credibility as well. So to that extent, unless Ms. Cross, you want something else to be heard on that, point is made. All right.
And you see, it was so bad that the DA's lawyers couldn't even respond to it. They couldn't even respond to it. It's over, right? It's like, yeah, it's obvious that's what happened here. Usually they would get up and make some argument, but they couldn't even make an argument against it. It's clear. It's so everything we watched him say this morning essentially is nonsense. It's just, it doesn't move the needle anyway. Matter of fact, it would hurt any more than this because it kind of also shows that deviousness, that her lawyer father is being prepped and is violating all the rules and comes in and tells this story, and then we're supposed to believe it. It's just a bad morning for them. So with that said, we are headed to lunch, and I don't know if I'll be back in the afternoon. I will see, but check the notifications. Don't forget, if you want to check to make sure see when I'm going live, go hit that bell, and when I go live, you'll get a notification to see that I'm live. And I will see you guys hopefully on the next one. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. We are going to see. And the last thing I'm going to ask people, let me know. What do you think this judge should do? Let me add this last poll to the chat, because I'm gonna poll it just before we all get out of here. Do you think this judge should disqualify Fani Willis? That is going to be the poll that's going to be up as soon as I can find it. So the poll, come on, chat. I'm not hiding the chat. Let me close this. Here we go. The chat, here's the poll. I'm typing it up right now. I'm just going to put disqualify Fani. Yes or no? Let's see what people think based on what we've been seeing. That poll is up. And let's give it a couple of minutes. Let's see. Should she be disqualified? The father's testimony actually, I think, hurt. I think the father's testimony hurt. I think it did. Because that last piece is just so damning, so damning. If the truth doesn't need to be prepped, that's the key, right? The key is the truth. You don't need to prep the truth. You just need to tell the truth. You need to prep lies and tell the truth. Generally, that's the way I think about it. And I think if you tell me you prepped them, well, if you tell me you prepped them in that way, where he's watching testimony, he's lying, it does, that literally you take out the argument, because usually people will say, hey, his testimony was consistent with hers and Wade's, but now you can't say that because he watched it. So of course it's going to be. So that's the killer of the credibility. So I don't know. Right now, disqualification, it seems, I don't know if this judge is going to be brave enough to disqualify. I don't think the judge is going to be brave enough to disqualify, but I'll see. I'll see. I don't know. Everything that I've heard now, it doesn't seem, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. I'm going to give everybody 10 more seconds to vote and give it a countdown. And at the end of the day, I think the father's testimony was due. I really think it hurt. I really think it hurt. All right. So 4, 3, 2, 1. We got 96%. We got 4,000 people in here. And we got 96%. 96% of the people believe. Yeah. So I think disqualifications is an interesting. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So with that said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. I'm out of here. Hopefully, I'll see you this afternoon if we come back. My name is Nate the Lawyer. Peace.